How in the Sam hell do we do this podcast again?
I don't know. You asked me a weird question to start it out, and then we kind of go from there.
Okay, I think we'll figure it out as we go along. By the way, I love that phrase. Like old timey prospectors say, "What in the Sam hell's going on here?" Who
So
is
you don't have
Sam
a
Hell?
you don't have a you don't have a weird question ready for me. I was expecting you to be
Well,
like,
that was the weird question. How do we start this podcast?
okay, all right,
See, it's
yeah,
kind of
I got you.
meta because we haven't done this in a while.
It's only been like a week and a half. Easy.
Yeah, I know, I know. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Just Your Opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. I am out of Greg's shed, and I'm coming to you from my new apartment in Oakland.
Why is
Yeah,
that funny? Why is it funny when you say
Greg's shed because
that
it almost rhymes.
you were just in Greg's shed?
Greg's shed. Let's go down to Greg's shed where he has the menorah rake.
Oh my God. Well, at least you're out of there, man, and you are back in an area where you kind of look you know, you look
Normal.
like yeah, well, not really that normal. You look like you're in an area where you're forced to be there. You look like you got taken into that apartment into a straitjacket.
Like
And
witness protection.
yes, well, not like witness protection, like you're crazy.
Oh,
Be-
so this looks like a mental institution, is what you're saying.
a little bit. I mean, the white everywhere. There's nothing put up, not even like a little poster, maybe a calendar or like a
Steven, I'm not in
dartboard.
a dorm. Okay, I don't put posters up.
You're what?
I'm not in a dorm room. I don't put posters up.
Well, then
30 years old.
Find something like this.
I got
Frame it.
shit. I got a nice Fred Bolitnikoff thing. I'll put up. It's all good.
Good. Okay, there you go. At least you have something. I was
Yeah,
worried.
this is an insane asylum. This isn't like foam padding around here.
I don't know that. You don't know that. We don't know where we are, honestly. I mean, we could get into. I mean, I know we got the Warriors and we got football stuff to get into. I know we got a little baseball to get into too. Just anything in the world of sports, really. But we can have more of a
Philosophical conversation.
philosophical, cerebral conversation about just where we really are as human beings.
We'll say that for another episode.
We're all in an insane asylum if you really think about it.
Okay, all right. That's deep, man. You're Jesus. You're getting deep at 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday.
Stranger Things makes you think sometimes, man. It really does.
I haven't watched the new season. Is it good? I think it's kind of weird. I don't really want to see those kids get older and try to act like they're still young.
I agreed. Because I was saying that before the season started, but it proved me wrong. It was fantastic.
Was it? Okay.
Season 4 just picked things right up. It's kind of like the Warriors series, like the first game was. Well, actually, no, it's kind of not like that. You have to switch the other two, but like the first few seasons, it was up and down, up and down. But the fourth season, very, very good, and that game 4 was. Whoo, I've never been so excited in my life when I've been on my own watching a sporting event.
I love how you're transitioning from Stranger Things to the Warriors.
Hey, man, that's bro. That's how I do it.
Oh yeah, no, I know, man. By the way, this is the first podcast we've done since we've become Romeo and Juliet, where our respected work life will be, we're not supposed to be together, Stephen. Our works don't want us apart, or they want us apart, but they don't want us together. And this is how strong our bond is.
So like we're like the what is it? The Capulets and the Montagues?
Capulets and Montagues.
Yeah. Oh, which one's cooler? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Who's the cool one?
But all I know is this is going to be the only Bay Area podcast. We'll get promotion for 95.7 The Game and KBR. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, how about that? Look at us. We're proving that we could do this together.
Exactly.
We're two divided lovers take their life.
Yes, by the end of this podcast, we'll commit suicide. So let's talk about the Warriors. We haven't done a podcast at all. Yeah, the first live stream when you do suicide. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
So we haven't done a podcast since the Warriors started the NBA Finals, and that game 1 was rough, considering that they were so dominant for the first 3 quarters, and then they just kind of shit the bed in the fourth quarter. Dominant performance by the Celtics in the fourth quarter, just bombing threes and not missing anything. So they take game 1, and then the Warriors come back in game 2, have a solid performance, really take the game over in the third quarter, 19-point win. And then, as expected, things didn't go the Warriors' way in Boston. Game 1, the crowd was as expected, they're Celtics fans and they're going to be fanatical and they're going to be like they always are, right or wrong, and we'll get into that later. But the Warriors had struggles defensively. Draymond Green admitted that he did not have a good game defensively, and they lost by 16. And then last night, kind of a similar game to start off with Game 3. Warriors were down early. They come back, and all of the credit in the world goes to Steph Curry, man. 43 points. It's his second highest finals performance. I forget this. He scored 47 in a loss to the Raptors in Game 3, but I don't even remember him scoring 47.
That was with that was with KD and Clay out, wasn't it? Or was that the wrong game? Is that another game?
No, was Clay out for Game 3?
No, I think that was actually game. Oh God, I can't remember which one. Anyway, I could be wrong on that one. I've seen so much of it. I'm just gonna put the ticker there. By the way, this is a new thing that I'm doing. I went on
Stat line at the bottom.
I got the rundown. I got the rundown before the podcast started.
Yeah.
You write a little lengthy rundown, and I made it into multiple tickers. So we're gonna have to. We're gonna keep these going here through the podcast. So we've had a week and a half off, had a little time to think about it. We're gonna start posting a lot more to YouTube, a lot more to Instagram. I'm gonna make a TikTok for us just because I can.
God.
And I know you hate that, but I'm trying to get this podcast off the ground.
No. By all means, sir, you handle that shit because God knows I don't like it.
Yeah. Well,
by the way,
someone has to.
No, I'm happy you're doing it, and I'm glad that this ticker is not cutting you off because I saw that video you posted. The little hype video they did for the finals. You're in it. Your hand's in it. Like,
oh yeah.
You were phrasing like it was like Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc., where he gets cut off by the thing, the logo.
Yeah.
And it's just your hand, potting up Bonte and Shasky for the morning roast. It's pretty cool though. Your hand was a part of the NBA Finals.
Dude, my hand was a part of it, and then my silhouette from behind was a part of it.
Ooh.
Those things, I gotta say, those things are super awkward. I gotta tell you that. Like,
what?
from
The
behind
ABC crew is just like
whatever,
act natural.
We've had that before, but we've had like TV crews come in. That's every time the Warriors have gone to the finals, the TV crews come in to do the morning show, and they want to go in, they want to get an interview with the hosts and stuff. And normally it's directed toward the host, like that's where all the attention's going. And then they're sitting in the back room, and they're kind of just like taking video, putting the camera really close to your hand. I'm like, should I be doing something? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to do. So I just I'm going on my computer. I'm like, all right, I'm going to type stuff into the podcast stuff. I'm going to post a podcast. I'm going to look like I'm doing something in the back here. And so, yeah, it's really awkward when that happens. But yeah, man, my hand and the back of my head, all on
That's all
NBA,
you need, man. Hey, that's better.
Instagram.
That's better than the Mike Wazowski moment. I shared with you for when I used to work at NFL Network, I worked on the fantasy show, and they did like a Zoom thing for all the people that work from home. And it literally was a Mike Wazowski moment where the logo of NFL Network blocked my face. So your hand was on TV, Steven. My whole fucking face was blocked out.
Yeah. Why were you wearing a beanie?
Because it was cold. It was December, and I had no heat in my apartment in LA.
You're about to be on TV. They're saying, hey, we're going to put you on TV. We're going to put you scattered all along the screen. And you decide that you're going to look like you're just going to the corner store really quick.
Ain't nothing wrong with the way I looked on TV, Steven. It ain't my first rodeo being on TV, so it's all good.
But you really did have a true Mike Wazowski moment.
Oh, it was 100% like Mike Wazowski moment.
Oh.
But back to the Warriors last night. Steph Curry, 43 points.
Oh.
A lot of people are saying he carried the team. I don't know about that because I still think that Andrew Wiggins had a fantastic performance last night. 17 points, 16 rebounds. Draymond Green, not his normal stat line as far as defense. He did have 4 steals last night, but got benched. We'll talk about that a little bit. And Klay Thompson, what did he score last night? 14? He had a great. He was solid after where he was in game 2.
He made a shot when it mattered most, and that was when Steph gave him the assist at the top of the key, and he banged in that 3. I've been watching the highlights all morning. I can't get enough of it. I woke up at like 7:30, and I've just been consuming Warriors content the entire time.
You act like that's early, but that's late for you.
I think I watched like the House of Highlights video that they posted of Steph and his points. I think I watched that like 6 times already this morning. Maybe that's not that much, but I can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Everything about that game.
To the shindig.
We can do the whole ranking all-time performances thing, and we can look back, but just in the situation that they're in now, where like they're 2 years removed from the finals, no one expected expected that they could get here. And you're playing in a game where I think the other team has proven that as far as their depth, they have outnumbered you. Like the strength in numbers thing, sure, it can, you can apply that to the Warriors, but that applies way more to the Celtics, in my opinion. They got strength in numbers on the other side of the court. They have outmatched you in terms of depth, but the Warriors' star power has shown that they are better than the Celtics' star power. And Steph I don't know if he put the team on his back, but he kept them in that game. There were multiple times. I mean, there was the and one play that he had. I think the Celtics were up by 5, and he had an and one. It was over Jaylen Brown, and then he ended up knocking it in and then cutting the deficit to 2. I mean, if he misses that, or excuse me, they were down by 6 in that situation. If he misses that, then you're going on to a possible, 9-point deficit if the Celtics go on to score. Like, there are just little moments like that where Steph was constantly keeping them in the game, and just the way that he was doing it. You know, 2 separate instances where he makes the back-to-back threes. The one in the first quarter where he, hits that little step back after Gary Payton strips Derek White, and it, I don't know, it's kind of looked like a travel on one of those, but I don't even want to get into that right now. But there were 2 straight step backs, and he kept them in the game there. I think that he gave them the lead in the first quarter at that time. And then he tied the game, I think, at 73 with 2 straight threes, the ones where he was mad that he didn't get the and one call, the one with Derek White and Jason Tatum. Just plays like that, shots that you don't know how the hell they go in, man. It was an all-time game for him. It really was. 43 points in a damn near must-win game. That's as good as it gets. That really is.
And not even to mention, he's not even 100%, considering that his leg was, or his foot actually, was, who landed on his leg? Was it Marcus Smart again? I forget who landed on his leg.
Horford,
that's right.
Yeah.
Horford lands on his legs in game 3, and we're all holding our breath. And it was pretty apparent during the day off that he was saying, I'm not 100%. This hurts like hell, but I'm going to play through it. And he had arguably his best finals performance. Just overall for the team itself, just a great win. And I know like a lot of people say that was a gritty win these days or resilient win. It was, though. It was probably one of the more impressive wins by the Warriors, just because we've seen them blow out teams, and it looks great when they play defense and they play, great offensively and bomb 3 after 3 after 3. But last night wasn't the case. They were just in a tough, grinded out game. And yes, Steph Curry helped them by far than anybody else on the court. Mm-hmm. But overall, just for them to win that game, I thought was very impressive and bodes well for them the rest of the series. I think going back to Chase Center now, things tied up. I think everything's in their favor now. But yeah, man, Steph Curry last night.
It's huge. It's huge.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. They could have been 3-1.
3-1. And to be fair, it would not have been good. But going back to Chase for a 3-1 deficit wouldn't have been the end of the world. It would be tough. Don't get me wrong. It'd be you're up Schitt's Creek, and not the good Schitt's Creek with Eugene Levy. But you have to think that the Warriors will be okay going back to Chase Center now. We'll see, home court advantage. I don't really think it's a thing in this series just because the teams are just so good. I'll just say this. Despite last night's win, this thing is going 7 in my opinion, no matter what. I think that we'll probably win we will. The Warriors will win game 5. We'll go back to Boston. Celtics win game 6, and then we're all just sweating it out Father's Day. Good Lord.
Again, I'm not going to be able to take that. Game 7, though, man. Like, that's what I predict. That was, I think, both of
we
our
all did. Everyone,
right?
not just you and me. Everybody's saying game 7.
Dude, I got to be honest. Nobody was saying game 7.
Really?
Everyone
Come on,
thought this was good. Dude, I mean, as far as the listeners go, like from 95.7, when you're giving your predictions and stuff, it was either Warriors in 5 or Warriors in 6. It was never Warriors in 7.
But you guys are the home of the Warriors. That's going to happen
for sure. But it's literally everybody. And I think that they changed their tune a little bit after game 1 because they learned that this Celtics team is really good. They got a defensive player of the year in Marcus Smart, who maybe shouldn't have won.
Say
that.
It right.
You can go back and sorry, Marcus Smart. And then you could go back and forth on that however you want. I mean, depending on whether you think he deserved it or not. But either way, he was still in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Damn good defender. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, we already know what they can do as two-way players. And then Robert Williams is one that I think a lot of people overlooked because he was hurt. But Robert Williams, when he got hurt at the beginning of April, end of May, end of March, whenever that was, when he tore his meniscus and got surgery on it, he was a DPOY candidate at that time. He was a big part of that Celtics defense being, as Steve Kerr puts it, the best in the league. So I think a lot of people overlooked their strength in numbers before making their predictions. And once game one happened, everyone's like, oh, wow. This is going to be a tough series. I don't know if the Warriors could do it. Everyone was tripping. But I am going to put something on the scroll here. And I wanted to
scroll away, sir.
I wanted to make sure I get these stats right before I put it up. And you mentioned these
scrolling.
You mentioned these two guys. You said Steph didn't carry the team necessarily. We got big games from these two, Wiggins and Looney. Oh, I mean,
Looney
guys
coming off the bench.
I mean, how awesome have they been? And Wiggins, like with his 16 rebounds, and Kevon. Oh, damn it! I got the stat wrong. It's 27 rebounds, not 26.
Oh God!
Hang on.
If you were a BA in the TV industry, you would be getting chewed out.
Yeah, well, guess what? I'm just a podcaster who doesn't know what he's doing. All right. 27 rebounds, though, and 2 of them huge putbacks by Wiggins in the fourth quarter. Steph did not start the fourth quarter off well. It's the same thing in game 3. He started off. They had 4 of the first 6 possessions ended in turnovers, and I think Steph had 3 of them to start the game in game 3. I could be wrong on that, but I do know Steph on 3 straight possessions, he turned the ball over, and it was not good. Him and Draymond were trying to find each other, and Robert Williams was sniffing it out. I think Robert Williams stole 2 of them. But at the end of the game, he didn't start off well. And Jordan Poole was big too. We can't forget about Jordan Poole and just the fact that he looked comfortable scoring for the first time. But you had Wiggins getting offensive rebounds, Looney doing it throughout the game. But those 2 putbacks from Wiggins in the fourth were just huge. And then Steph ends up getting that floater over nobody really, actually. He had just a wide open shot where he just blew by Robert Williams. And then what was it? Also, he had that 3 to close things out when Draymond came back into the game. But Wiggins and Looney, you can't say enough about those guys.
No. And can I go back to game 2 real quick?
Yeah.
That deep 3 from Jordan Poole, good Lord, that was insane. And Mark Jones did all right filling in for Mike Breen. I'm glad Mike Breen's back. By the way, Mark Jones did a fantastic job with the game 1 where he said insurrection. Oof.
Mark Jones is good, but like
he's good.
He's fine. I don't know. He's just like, pocket pass. It's just like, you don't need to say pocket pass. You don't need to be that technical with it. I can't stand that when he's like pocket pass to this guy.
No, I know. And I'm just glad we're getting banged again by Mike Breen with all the bangs.
Oh,
but
the Steph bang at the end of the game.
Bang!
Steph Curry bang. It wasn't that as good as nothing's gonna be as good as the OKC bang, but a great bang.
Oh God, 3 bangs. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot by Curry. Bang!
Mm-hmm. Yes. That exactly.
But the Jordan, I wish Mike Breen was on the call because I'm sure he would have done something creative. Just like, oh man, a 3 from the deep end of the pool. Yes.
Do you think he would have done that?
No, but that's the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, how was no one going to say the deep end of the pool right now? Because it was such a long shot and it was beautiful. And that was the icing on the cake in game 2. But yeah, just overall, dude, it's huge. Going back to Steph real quick. And yes, props to Andrew Wiggins and Kevon Looney. Looney coming off the bench last night. Otto Porter Jr. in the starting lineup. Didn't really get things going right away, but, can I say something real quick while I'm all over the place, scatterbrained?
You could say anything you'd like, Derek. This is your podcast. Well, our podcast.
Thank you.
Anything you want.
Thank you, Juliet.
Except that January 6th was just a dust up. You could say everything but that.
We'll get to that. I'm not laughing at that. It's just the idea of God.
Yes.
Oh, Jack. Oh, yes. Jack. Can we calm the fuck down during a game? Like, I know everyone's questioning Steve during the game, and everyone I know is on edge because no one wants to see the Warriors go down 3-1. But good Lord, can we? I mean, this is my policy. I wait to tweet until the game is over. That's the way, and I know that's hypocritical because in the past, if you ever see me during a Raiders game, I am frantic as hell. I understand that. But it's just funny to me that I have friends and colleagues all tweeting their asses off during the game, just being like, what is Steve doing? Oh my God. Oh, we suck. And then we win the game, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, that was nuts." Can we all just calm the fuck down a little bit and just watch the game, and then we'll react with a tweet after the game is over?
I know it's really frustrating, but I don't really tweet much during games. You'll notice there's two reasons. One, just had to stay off of it for the reasons that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't stand the reactions to every single like play because just it's a basketball game. Like things can change like that
So quickly.
it's
So
just
quickly.
it's so different to any sport. You could tweet during a football game and say something
Yeah.
about a specific play. You could tweet during a baseball game because baseball games are very easy to live tweet, but basketball, everyone's just so quick with it. And then, it's like, oh, Jordan Poole still sucks. And then all of a sudden he'll like come back on the next possession and then get a nice little layup in. Like it's way too much. That's number one. And number two, I watch my games via live on Hulu, and Hulu is a little bit delayed, so I can't really go. I can't really scroll through Twitter anymore because the game will get ruined for me.
I'm doing YouTube TV now.
Yeah, I used to do YouTube TV. Used to do that, but went
Not
to
a fan.
Hulu.
Should I do Hulu?
No, I liked both. I don't really have I don't have an issue with both.
Then why didn't you stick with YouTube TV? Now I'm concerned.
Because I moved out, Derek. There's logistics that are involved with this.
All
Come
right,
on, man. There are
okay.
levels to this.
Okay.
But I agree with you, man. Like just all these moves and just saying little things about the game. It's just like let the game happen and then make your reaction instead of making your judgment as soon as the game goes on. Like I'll say something stupid like something about Looney or whatever and all that, or something about Steph GP2. I'll make a little reaction to that, but anything else is just an overreaction, or it has the possibility of being an overreaction and making you look stupid.
Yeah, and not to say that this guy is stupid at all. I love this guy, but let's just call somebody out. Daryl the Guru Johnson. I love Guru, but my man tweets way too much during the game.
Yeah, but did you see his pregame speech?
I did. That was epic.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was epic. Was it 1, 2, 3, kick their ass?
On 3. Wait, kick their ass on 3. 1, 2, 3, kick their ass. I actually texted him as soon as the game was over and I said, kicked their ass.
I love Guru, but that man lives and dies with every second of a basketball game. I love it.
Yeah, there was one he had where Poole was really cold and he said, bring in Poole to close out the game. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? You don't want to bring in Poole right now. But he's the best, man. But I haven't followed along. I really don't. I'm kind of proud of myself for that. I don't really. And plus, you can't look, dude. If you look down at Twitter and you're trying to read things during the game, all of a sudden something happens and you miss it.
No.
There's just so it's
you're just
so
wasting time on a tweet, and you should be just watching the game. But
100%, 100%.
So yeah, just overall though, Steph Curry, an unbelievable performance last night. And yeah, we talked about it with the injured foot, still playing. And a lot was said before the series started of whether or not Steph Curry has he been clutch in finals performances before. And the truth of the matter is he has. It's just that not every game has been amazing. But you go back and look, Kobe Bryant in a game 7 against the Celtics was like 4 of 26. Like there's just things that people don't remember sometimes. And in our new social media age, we just always remember the bad moments. So while Steph Curry played amazing last night, he's always played great in finals, in my opinion. There's an argument to be made that he should have been a finals MVP of 2015. But I think the Andre Iguodala move was more significant. It's just because he hasn't had his legacy moment of being finals MVP that people go crazy. Like we had Michael Wilbon on last week with Tolbert and Copes, and he was saying how this argument's so stupid, but yet, Magic Johnson and Jalen Rose or whoever was trying to tell him, like, no, it is a legitimate argument that Steph Curry, if he's going to be a great player, has never been finals MVP. I think it's all bullshit. I think he thinks it's bullshit, but a little part of him also is probably like, I need to prove everybody wrong a little bit. And not to say that that's been his mentality in these games, but it must be nice. Like I've been listening to the interviews with Malika or Kendra before the games where he talks about finals MVP. And while it is, probably not on the forefront of his mind, it would be nice so everybody would just shut the hell up.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? I like it at the same time though, because I think that we've seen that emotion come out already throughout these playoffs. And I think we saw that come out in game 4. when he knocked down that second straight step back and he went
Yelling at the Celtics bench.
yeah, he went across the court, not only yelling at the Celtics bench, but yelling at the crowd too. I think everything, the finals MVP stuff, I think the Celtics crowd stuff, what they were yelling at what they were yelling at what they were yelling at Draymond, everything culminated to that one moment where he just let out this huge burst of emotion that you really don't see from Steph Curry all too much. At least in the first quarter, like
Right.
you don't see it that the second three that he's made in the game, like you just don't see that. So clearly, I think he's heard that, and I do think he's bothered by it. But in my opinion, dude, he's already like if the Warriors win this thing, like he's already won the
hands
Finals
down.
MVP. And if the Celtics win this thing, I could see him possibly winning Finals MVP. Him or Jaylen
No.
Brown. I don't think Jason Tatum's been good at all. He's been good. He's had spurts where he's been good, but man, have you seen these numbers? This is crazy. When we're talking about Steph and the finals and not performing in the finals, well, Jason Tatum already in his first postseason, and I got to pull this up here. Hang on one second.
He's pulling it up.
He now has the second most turnovers in a single postseason since tracked in 1978. He currently has 91. The league leader the league all-time leader is LeBron, who had 94 turnovers in 2017, 2018. So he's only 3 behind LeBron, and you're at game 4. This thing's going to go at least 2 more games. He's going to break that record. So you're already getting that for Jason Tatum. You're not getting that sort of stuff for Steph Curry. You're not seeing the turnover numbers. Like, come on, man. It's that all that is just BS, and they're trying to do anything. It's like, well, what else are you going to knock Steph for if he wins Finals MVP and wins the Finals this year? Well, the dude didn't graduate. Yeah, he did. He did this year. It's like, what else are you going to knock him for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there really is not a lot to knock him for anymore. And I will disagree in the sense that if the Celtics do end up winning the series, that Steph would be MVP.
Yeah,
I know. That just won't happen. Like it won't be a Jerry West moment where he's throwing the MVP trophy out the window.
I know.
But
I know. Yeah, no, it's not. It's a real homer take. That's about as homer of a take as I could give you.
No, but I mean, like that was an argument back in 2015. Like there was no clear-cut MVP for the Warriors, and they were considering giving that to LeBron, and I would have vomited. Like you can't have that.
Yeah.
You can't have the losing guy be MVP. He wasn't MVP.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the guys who's the Celtics MVPs, in my opinion, and Jaylen Brown is probably the number one so far because Jaylen Brown has just been fantastic. And I hope the Warriors make that adjustment in game 5 by just not letting him go to his right. Anytime he goes to his right, he's just going to drive to the basket. And we've seen him make a couple of unbelievable layups in yesterday's game. We do this as fans, and I think every fan base does this. We have real issue with giving the other team credit. You know, it's like Jaylen Brown drives in, Draymond Green. I think he's playing just as good of defense as you could play without fouling in that situation. And he makes the layup. It's just, you got to tip your cap at some point. People have a real issue doing that when it comes to the Celtics. But another guy who's been an MVP for that team, and I think this loomed large in the playoffs last night, or at least in game 4, was Robert Williams.
Yeah.
He was hobbled after 5 minutes. Go back and watch the Steph Curry floater and watch how that play worked out. I think he had a high screen set for him, and Marcus Smart was on Curry, as he has been. Marcus Smart is fantastic. I love him.
He might be MVP if they win.
They tried to get the switch onto Robert Williams, and Steph basically knocks Marcus Smart over to the ground, and Smart has no choice but to go back and try and protect the rim. So it's Robert Williams on Steph, and you've actually seen Robert Williams play some pretty nice defense when he's guarding the perimeter. Steph just blows right by him, and Robert Williams doesn't even try because you could tell he's hurt. And this was right after 5 minutes. I forgot what happened to him. He landed awkwardly on it, I think, his ankle, but he's been damn near the MVP for that team. He's been right up there. He's been so good in what he does for their defense. And I think if he's hurt and he's hobbling through these next couple of games, man, the Warriors have a real chance to win this thing. It's becoming more and more real now. Game 4, I can't get over it, dude. I can't believe they tied it 2-2. I really
No,
can't.
it was a great performance, but I will say that I think things are still even. I mean, like the Warriors have good momentum going back to Chase Center, but like we said before, Steven, this might be the best team the Warriors have faced in the finals. And I have no doubt, or I should say I have no problem if the Celtics do end up winning the finals, This isn't like as crushing as like the Cavs, just because the Cavaliers series it has got. It was more of a rivalry, and it was more like, God, we hate those guys so much just because of LeBron
Losing
and
to LeBron hurts more than anything,
it
especially
does.
when you're up 3-1. Like
Exactly.
there's nothing that's gonna hurt more than that.
That whole situation, because it was the whole thing of LeBron getting upset that Draymond called him a bitch, and then Clay called him out for being too sensitive, and that turned into a whole thing. Because there was a little bit of animosity. It's funny to me that LeBron James keeps talking about over and over again incessantly about how he wants to play with Steph Curry, and there was a point in time where he did not respect Steph. He looked down on him for being a unanimous MVP. So there was more animosity when the Cavaliers were playing the Warriors. The Celtics fans could be a bunch of massholes, but I have a ton of respect for the Celtics. I think the way they play, this is as even a series as things get. And quite frankly, the Celtics could be better than the Warriors. Like, this might be, the Warriors have had great teams. I still don't know if this team is better than the 2015 team. This may be the worst Warrior team by default that has gone to the finals, but I still like their chances. But yeah, man, just looking back on other finals, the Raptors were a great team. If KD was healthy, I still think the Warriors would have beat them. I don't think any of the Cavs teams were better than the Warriors on paper, but they just got lucky with that 3-1, turnaround.
Right.
This is by far the best team that the Warriors have played, in my opinion. I don't think it's even close. And we'll see how things go, because I think this is the most evenly matched series they've ever been in.
I think it's right there with the Raptors. I'm not going to say by far. I do think the Celtics have way more depth, but the difference is the Celtics stars to me haven't shown out like the Raptors stars did. Like Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard were fantastic in that series, and then Kyle Lowry was being a pest. So really, you can really pick your poison on that. I do think that those two teams are leaps and bounds better than those Cavs teams. And I do think that this series overall, I mean, this one it's just as exciting as the ones that I can remember. I mean, the one against the Raptors was awesome, but I got to be honest, man, I went to a festival during Game 6, so I wasn't exactly, I didn't know what was going to happen then. I should have planned around that. I didn't know the finals were going to be around that
Which
date.
festival? Was it Bonnaroo?
It was Bonnaroo that year. Yeah, I was watching on Thursday night. We were watching I forgot what game we were watching, but I forgot what band we were watching, but I had I had Game 6 on my phone. I was just like,
at Bonnaroo. Jesus, how was the reception for that?
It was okay. It wasn't bad.
Oh, really?
Fine. Yeah.
So a shit show.
So this one, like, I'm sitting at my house. I'm watching with Jessie for a portion of it. She went to go hang out with some friends, I think in the third quarter, and she, these old friends hit her up, and I don't think she wanted to go because she was so entrenched in the game. She left way later than she was supposed to because she's like, damn, it's still tied and it's a good game. I don't want to leave. So it was tough. It was tough there, but it's hitting a little different for me personally this year. Like that's kind of, it's very personal in that way.
Well, I got to be honest, man, and I've watched every game, and I live and die with. I'm always gonna be honest and give my opinion, man, but not like Jack Del Rio. I don't know, man. Maybe it's just maturity, and I hate admitting that, but like when the Warriors lost Game 1, it didn't hurt as much. Like it must have been just the way we were working in 95.7 the game. I don't know if you still feel this way, but like the way you cover the team on that radio station, you're so emotionally invested in them.
Yeah.
And then when they lose, it turns into a 4-hour just pity party the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough. So, but for whatever reason now, like, when they lost Game 3 and they were down 2-1, I'm like, all right, we'll be all right. It may just be because, I've seen a lot of basketball now, and I know how shit goes. Things go back and forth all the time now, especially this, finals run with this team they're playing. So I'm not as worried. And even if they do lose, it's kind of like the expectations this season we had. It doesn't hurt as much just because, or it's not as big just because, when they got KD, if you didn't win the finals, then the whole offseason is going to be, well, the Warriors suck. How do they get this big name player and not win? Yeah. Now it's like, all right, they don't have KD. They've done a great job with the guys they've drafted. It's a kind of a mix of the old guys and the young guys, and they're exceeding expectations. So whatever happens, I'm okay with, but I still expect them to win the series.
I'm glad they kept it competitive. Like, I'm really glad they did, because if, this thing would have come back to Chase Center and let's just say they would have got one game in the finals and then the Celtics would have won out, and they would have gone game 5, like, I wouldn't have been feeling too good about that. But the fact that they've kept it competitive and won a couple of games and made this a series has changed it dramatically. Everything about this team is different. That's why this Steph Curry performance was all time, because this team is totally different, and just the weight that's on their shoulders and them being Steph, Clay, and Dre, like it's not just Steph. Like, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, both of those guys, no one really talks about their legacy at all, but it's in I know we hate that. I know we hate legacy, but no one really talks about their stints in the finals, and people will be like, oh, well, they could only do it when Steph and KD were on their team. They needed Kevin Durant. It's just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, can we talk about something, by the way, that happened?
You can talk about anything you like.
We did not get into this yet, but I'm going to put it on the ticker. Here we go. 3,
Take
2,
away.
1. Draymond.
Yes. Yeah.
So this Draymond Green saga has been fascinating to keep up with. Fascinating. Like, people.
A Draga?
People. Yeah. People really do not like Draymond Green. Like, they really don't. I don't.
You're surprised by this?
I don't think Warrior fans like.
Well, hold on. You think Warrior fans don't like Draymond?
I think they do not. I think.
Why do you say that?
Because of the outrage, the outpouring of just like despair when Draymond does something poorly on the court. Like, no one's going to give Draymond credit for what he did after he got benched and came into that game, and the fact that he was playing some terrific defense and gave Steph the assist. Now, I'll give you the fact that Draymond looked lost out there in the first half, and I'm not saying he didn't deserve to be benched, because he absolutely did. But it's just, anytime Draymond plays poorly and he makes a podcast and he's outspoken, Warrior fans just come out with the pitchforks, whatever the cliche is, and all that stuff. And they say, oh my gosh, Draymond Green, like, he can't be doing podcasts. Draymond needs to be quiet. Draymond can't be doing all this. Focus on the game, Draymond, and telling him how he should play and telling him what to do. It's fascinating to keep up with. It really is.
As far as the game last night, yes, Draymond Green looked lost, and even his own mother tweeted that out last night. And no one's as hard as himself, or no one is as hard on Draymond as himself. So he understands that he did not play well. Mm-hmm. And he even admitted last night that, I should have been benched. Or he wasn't happy about it, but he understood it because Steve's the boss, and he came back in the game and played well. But as far as everything else, yes, in Game 3, Draymond did not play well defensively, and he didn't play well last night for the majority of the game. But I wouldn't say that fans don't like Draymond. I just think that this is an unprecedented situation where we have an active player playing in championship games, and instead of just, doing his thing, talking to the media, he controls the narrative of himself with his own podcast. And there are times where I have questioned it. I'm not going to say that he shouldn't do his podcast, because I think that it's really revolutionary. I think that this will be more a sign of more things to come with more players. It'd be weird if, let's just say Patrick Mahomes starts a podcast after every Chiefs game. It's going to be weird, but that may be the case, because people want to hear, a more in-depth conversation of what went on in a game, and if a player can control that, then that's very interesting. Well, there's some things that Draymond has said in the past, like, he gets a free pass on everything. Like, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but at the same time, like, him criticizing Bob Myers and Steve Kerr before the season started with that sit-down interview with Kevin Durant was really interesting. But that's just, what, like he says, the new media. As far as everything that went down with Draymond in Boston, just to start off with the Celtics fans, I'm not surprised that they chanted "fuck Draymond." Like, listen, I understand that, you bring your children to a game and you don't want them to hear that stuff. But I thought it was hilarious, like Draymond saying, I want my, how old is his son? 7, 5, whatever.
I don't even know.
I want my young son to hear that stuff. Tolbert had a great line where it's just like, he sounds like Will Ferrell from Eastbound and Down. Let the boy watch, like my son did before me.
My wife, daughter.
She doesn't like it. Nope.
On top of her.
laying on top of her, making violent love.
Let
Uh,
watch.
Let the boy watch. Taken down to the farmer's market. But yeah, so Draymond, I thought he had a great reaction to it. I know his wife was upset, and by all means, she was the one in the crowd probably getting things yelled at her and her children if they were doing that. But Draymond had a good attitude about it, saying that that's what he expects. You know, it's Boston fans. I thought I was a little surprised by Steve Kerr and Clay with the way they reacted, because I understand, Chance, they're juvenile, but they're also fans. Fans are going to be fanatical. As long as the Celtic fans aren't doing anything terrible, and we all know their history, um, then I think it's fine. Adam Silver, was asked about that, and he said he doesn't want to piss off the Celtics fans, so he's like, hey, they're allowed to do whatever they like, as far as it's, not vulgar. I mean, it was vulgar. They said fuck Draymond, but nothing was being thrown at him. No, racial stuff, which we know Celtics fans have been accused in the past. So as long as they keep it friendly, like, fuck Draymond is the same thing as, Knicks fans saying fuck Trae Young, in my opinion. I don't
It's the
think
exact
it's
same
anything.
thing.
Yeah. So
There's
I don't think
no
it's anything.
difference. There's
Yeah.
zero difference.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I was expecting the Celtics fans to come out hotter in this game because of what Klay Thompson said and what Steve Kerr said. So, that's what I think about that. As far as Draymond and the podcast, in the post game of Game 3, a reporter said to him, you are giving a lot of X's and O's after your game. Do you think that the Celtics or opposing teams are listening to that and then planning that against you? And then Draymond kind of, clapped back at the guy and said, what X's and O's? I'm just saying that we need to cover Al Horford and Derek White.
Yep.
And he was like, it's not really X's and O's. You're reaching for something that's not there. And while that I agree with him that that's not X's and O's, there is strategy discussed on his podcast. And while it's not in depth, there is strategy. Now, he'll give strategy in post-game interviews, but I just think that this is a new thing that people aren't used to. So when someone is losing a game and then immediately, 30 minutes after the game, there's a podcast available for you to listen, people are going to, wonder like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And not to say that Draymond's not focused. Believe me, I think we all agree that Draymond's focused on playing basketball. This is another way of, discussing it.
For sure.
But I don't know. I just think that it's very new, and to say that, I think Draymond sometimes acts a little naive in the sense that people aren't listening to the podcast, like opposing players, like we saw firsthand. While maybe, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the Heat players were pissed off that he said that the Celtics were going to win that series. So people were listening.
The podcast, though, that was
no, I know, but that's him being a media member now. He wasn't answering that question as a player; he was answering that question as TNT analyst Draymond Green. What he's doing is revolutionary. No one has ever been an active player and have a job on TNT and have an active podcast going simultaneously. As far as as high profile as a player as Draymond Green is. So while, we can question some of these things, I think it's just, part of the new norm that we have to get on board with.
Yeah, and that reporter who asked the X's and O's question, that was Jake Fisher, and he obviously had an agenda because he had multiple sources tell him that they listen to the podcast and that they try and find stuff from Draymond. So he used it all to kind of finalize the article that he was going to come out with the next morning. So that was all just an agenda for him. Like that's nothing new. And Ernie points this out, and this is true.
Yeah, CJ
McCollum was doing a podcast before Draymond, but he wasn't doing them at the clip that Draymond is doing it, and nowhere near the popularity that Draymond's doing it at. And I think Twitter makes it a lot worse because you got StatMuse posting up these stats about how Draymond has more points than more podcasts than points or something like that. And
yeah, that's just stupid.
And all this stuff. So I think that exacerbates it. And I think the other thing is Draymond has not been good in these finals.
Yeah.
So and the reason that it's so distasteful to Warrior fans is because it feels like the only thing to them that is stopping our beloved Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, Steve Kerr, Kevon Looney, Wiggins from getting his first ring, all those guys, the only thing stopping them from getting that ring is Draymond Green. So everything that's what they think. I'm not saying that's how it is, but when he's the one guy in the finals who seems to be underperforming compared to everybody else, we're not gonna blame Klay Thompson because he had those injuries for a couple of years, and he's just not the same Klay Thompson. But Draymond Green, we're not paying attention to this, and no one is gonna make this excuse. But hey, this dude had a back injury, and we had his mom on earlier this week. The Morning Roast did.
Yeah.
People really wanted to listen. She heard, like, just full disclosure here, the podcast, like that I posted. More people wanted to view that than any podcast I've ever posted, like, ever. So as far as I've been keeping track, so people wanted to hear from her, and she said, "I'll let Draymond tell this story. I'm not going to get into it, but that back injury was much worse than people realize." And
well, I'm sure we'll get details when the season's over.
and there's way more to it than just, oh yeah, it was a back injury. So I think that there's something to that, maybe. Like, no one's even trying to think of an excuse for Draymond. It's just, oh, Draymond stinks and he's stopping these guys from getting a ring. like that's it.
Remember when I was talking about that, whether it was sciatica?
Yes.
So let's see what happens with that when Draymond fully discloses what happened with that back injury.
But keeping with Draymond, though, shout out to Steve Kerr for benching him. Like, he knew that he was, like, that's never been a thing. You never even think, oh yeah, you need to bench Draymond. Like, you never think that in the fourth quarter, but he understands that Draymond's a bad matchup for him. I think it was Kerr who said after the game, just like, look, he can't just take the ball at the top of the key like he normally does and then work wonders. Like, they just switch too much and guys are covered. You can't move off ball against these guys. It has to be run through Steph. You can't run the offense through Draymond anymore. And it's just a tough matchup for him. Now, granted, he's looked very flustered whenever he has the ball in his hands, because he's like, oh, what do I do? Do I got to be the Draymond that needs to be the assist Draymond? Do I got to be point forward Draymond, or do I got to be power forward Draymond where I try and take this thing aggressively to the hoop? He doesn't know which one to be. It's point forward or power forward. Which one? And I think he's having a tough time trying to calculate that in his head in real time because the game's moving so quickly. But nobody's going to try and think of no one's going to look at that. No one's going to think about that. No one's going to say, oh yeah, this is just a bad matchup for Draymond. No one's going to say that. Everyone's going to say, oh, Draymond sucks. He needs to stop doing podcasts. It's just non-stop. He's the only guy that Warrior fans feel comfortable criticizing. He really is.
That is true.
No one's going to criticize Steph for those 3 turnovers at the beginning of the fourth quarter at the end of that game. Even though Steve Kerr benched him at the end of the third quarter and he shouldn't have done that, Steph shouldn't have turned the ball over 3 straight times to start the fourth and really give the Celtics the edge there. So it's like we have trouble criticizing anybody else on the team other than Draymond and Kerr. Everyone criticizes Kerr as if we're all NBA coaches and understand everything.
Yeah, but that's crazy because Steve Kerr did the right thing. He benched Draymond Green. Mm-hmm. And a lot of other coaches in that situation would have folded because Draymond's very intimidating. And Steve Kerr and Draymond have had their dust-ups. I hate using that term, actually. Sorry.
It's tough. It's tough using that. Yeah, way to ruin it, Jack.
Jesus.
Seriously. It's like how Hitler ruined the square mustache. Now Jack Del Rio ruined dust-up.
Hey, Michael Jordan's bringing it back in his Hanes commercials.
That's true. Oh man, and I'm only bringing that up because we just Jesse and I watched a Family Guy episode yesterday just for shits and giggles. You know, we haven't watched Family Guy in a while, so we're just like, let's watch
a new episode.
No, we watched one from season 2, the Death is a Bitch episode.
Oh, which one's that?
So the first time when Death pops in, Norm Macdonald voiced Death.
Oh yeah. Real quick, have you watched the Norm Macdonald Netflix special yet?
I haven't yet.
Still need to watch that.
Yeah, I haven't watched that, but it goes back to the cutaway that they had where because death didn't exist, so like nobody was dying, and they're like, can you imagine if Hitler was still alive? And like he had like a Hitler talk show.
Oh yeah. All right, next movie. Do we get to see your butt? I guess it's like Christian Slater.
Yeah,
he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
Yeah. So that's the only reason I bring up that reference. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but Steve Kerr, like,
side note from Hitler.
The narrative around him was like, this dude is scared of Draymond.
No,
and it's just like, what? No, like this dude has proven like
Steve Kerr got punched in the face by Michael Jordan. He's not scared of Draymond.
Exactly. Like, people just have these thoughts, and they're looking at Twitter, and somehow they're convinced when they read a tweet, oh, this is how it is. And just because it has a lot of retweets too and a lot of likes,
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, this has a lot of likes and a lot of retweets. This must mean that this must mean that, oh man, people really agree with it. This must mean it's the right take. This must mean it's the right opinion. It's like, no. And
No.
so it's just, I think he proved a lot of people wrong last night by benching Draymond when he needed to. And then conversely, I'm sorry, I'm kind of ranting here.
Rant away, sir.
But who cares how Draymond was acting when he got benched? Because supposedly he was screaming and yelling after the timeout, and he was getting emotional about it. But the most important thing is what he did on the court. He was benched, but he responded. Who cares if he didn't accept that role lightly? Like, who cares? As long as he played defense on the other end, put in an effort, and then found Steph, which is what he needed to do. I mean, like, it's just you can criticize him all you want for the game. I understand that. He was terrible on offense in the first half, through the first 3 quarters, really. And he was a liability there on the floor. But he bounced back in the fourth. So I do respect Draymond for that.
Absolutely. And he's not the first person to be benched that throws a conniption fit. There's the famous, shots of Steve Young yelling at George Seifert for being benched in an early game in the 1994 season. And then Steve Young comes back and wins the championship. This isn't going to cause Draymond Green to flip out and want to be traded from the Golden State Warriors. He accepted that. I mean, he wasn't happy about it, but he, we all listened to his podcast. He went on his podcast after the game and said it needed to be done. And that's what Steve decided to do. And I accept that. I don't, it's interesting you bring up the point that Warriors fans don't like Draymond Green. I think they love Draymond Green. It's just a mixed emotion of, obviously we love that he's on our team and he's an instigator. It's like, we would all roll our eyes at Patrick Beverley if he was on the Warriors, but we'd still love him because he's our guy. Draymond's our guy, but he is an instigator. He talks a lot, and this is just what happens. I think people need to stop, grasping at straws for the podcast stuff. I understand he puts out a lot of content with the podcast, and he pisses people off by saying, the 90s guys or the 80s guys aren't as tough as these, guys today. He's got Cedric Maxwell calling him out. Draymond, ask your daddy who I was. He's got, Charles Barkley, his own teammate on TNT, saying again that he wants to punch him in the face. And he got in trouble for that a while ago for saying the same shit. So it just comes with the territory. And I think it's something that the old media has to accept with the new media that Draymond's creating. He's going to be outspoken. He likes to talk. As long as he backs it up, it's going to be fine in the end. It just looks bad when you play poorly. But I don't think it has any, it's not anything as a result of him podcasting too much. It takes an hour of his time to podcast. It's not that big of a deal.
Hello, sorry about that. Excuse me. Had a link pop up there. Random video.
Porn again?
No, I had the box score on ESPN open, and then they randomly played like the video on the sidebar, when you're on ESPN and you're looking through stuff and you had the play-by-play.
Classic Espen.
One other thing, I loved that the Warriors were cognizant of the fact that Steph was going off, and it was just, let's get the ball into Steph Curry's hands and let him work. I really love that. It was at the end of the third quarter with just under a minute left, where Steph drives to the rim. Gary Payton's waiting in the corner, and then Steph just lobs it to Payton, who has a wide open 3, but then Steph follows his pass, damn near beats his pass to Gary Payton, and GP looks like he's going to shoot it, and then instead he just drops the ball. He just drops the ball and sets the screen, and then Steph hits the corner 3 to give him the lead. That was fantastic. It was awesome.
One last note on Draymond. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steven. Were you saying something?
Yeah, and then I was going to say on Draymond Green, too. I just randomly brought up that Steph Curry thing. A lot flowing through my head right now. Coffee. Draymond admitting that the Celtics fans and the outside noise got into his head. I was surprised he admitted that. I really was.
When did he admit that?
He admitted that on the last podcast after Game 3.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he admitted that he let the noise get to him. And it's just like, really?
I didn't hear that part. That's surprising to hear that from him.
Is that something you really want to admit on the podcast? It's great that you're being vulnerable. It's great that you're showing your true self. That's fantastic. But in the middle of a final series, and you really got to say, I let the noise get into my head. Yikes.
Well, that's the part I think people have a problem with, is that it's not so much he's not giving X's and O's, but he is giving up strategy, not in-depth strategy. It's bare bones stuff like we got to improve this, we got to improve that. But he is very honest. He always has been honest. I think the problem that people have with Draymond a little bit is that he's just always outspoken. And, he's been the catalyst for a lot of things. We can say whatever happened in the 3-1 series against the Cavs, but in the end, him getting suspended was the reason they lost that series. Him yelling at Kevin Durant, while not directly the reason he left, was a big deal. So fans have a love-hate relationship with Draymond for a lot of the stuff he says and a lot of stuff he does. But I still wouldn't want anybody else on the team. I love him. I think that he brings the fire and energy that is needed on the team, the leadership that's needed on there. They are not as much as a gritty team, as a tough team without him. Kevon Looney, Andrew Wiggins, even Steph. One thing we have to mention is the fact that Steph has put on so much muscle thanks to his trainer and friend to us, Brandon Payne. He has improved immensely defensively and has become more physically in shape than he's ever been in his career. So that's a big reason why he powered through and toughed it out last night for 43 points. But yeah, just back to Draymond. We had Tom Izzo on this week with Tolbert and Copes, and he was just saying, I understand people get, he rubs people the wrong way sometimes, but you would, his intensity is more of a positive than negative, in my opinion. And, Tom Izzo's the first guy to call out Draymond if he's playing poorly. Like I forget when we had him on, but he calls him after every game and tells him what's up, whether he needs to shut up or he needs to play better. He's always that guy in his ear. So Draymond knows. It's just a matter of whether or not he's saying too much of the podcast. But by all means, don't take the podcast away from him, because I think it's great. I just think that that's just the way fans are too. As crazy as the Celtics fans are for wearing "fuck Draymond" t-shirts and yelling "fuck Draymond," Warriors fans are crazy too for thinking that podcast is going to be any indication that he's not playing well in the finals.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Warrior fans are overlooking, and I just hate doing this thing where we just call out the fans for this thing, but really, it's just nonstop about Draymond all the time. Draymond, and it kind of frustrates me. He is also a vocal leader for the team. And now you want your vocal leader to perform, because it's like, how can you buy into what this guy's selling if, he's out there just jacking up layups and missing open looks? Like, how can you really buy what he's selling? But every team needs that guy. Celtics, they have Marcus Smart. He's that guy. He's not necessarily their star. Jason Tatum is their star, but he is the one that's the vocal leader. Jason Tatum is not that guy. Go back to the Raptors. I know a lot of people hated him, but Kyle Lowry was the vocal leader for that team with Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard. Then with those teams with the Cavs, it's LeBron. With every single finals team, you will find there is a vocal leader, and every team needs that. And a lot of them are missing that. I mean, you go back to the Heat and the Lakers. Obviously, the Lakers had LeBron. The Heat had Jimmy Butler. You can go back to any championship that you want. And both of those teams have vocal leaders, and those are very, very important, huge facets for the team. And Jacob. Shout out to Jacob. Dracob.
Coming back to KNBR, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad that he just, didn't have to, make 2 weeks to make the announcement and, just like drag this thing out and just say, oh, I got a new job. I'll let you know in a couple of weeks.
Only I self-aggrandize like that.
But Draymond's that vocal leader, and I think that's something that gets lost on a lot of people, and people forget that. And it's fine. And I think they went something like, because they had 26 missed games in the regular season. Yeah. I went back and looked at it. I think they went 14-12 in that time, or it was somewhere around there. So sure, they might have had a winning record with Draymond off the floor, but 14-12 is not a championship record by any stretch. So you certainly need him on the court. If that's coming off the bench, then fine. But he's still going to be a vocal leader, and I love that about him. So, I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't have traded Draymond. I wouldn't have done any of that. Like, he's maybe he's not the star player, but he's a big reason why those 3 championships happen.
Yeah, no, they'll be fine, and I expect him to play well in Game 5. So, as I always say, Steven, we'll see what happens on Monday.
We'll see what happens, man.
But
what a great game.
Oh yeah. Great game last night. Always good to have a Friday night win, and then you can party, and then the weekend you just have to worry about shit. So,
oh my God, can you imagine? Wow, Friday. I didn't even think about that. Friday night.
Yeah,
you're in Boston. Oh,
and all the Boston fans have their night ruined.
Isn't Marcus Smart just like the best name for a Boston crowd? I want Marcus Smart to stay there so I could just hear. Like we've had people from WEEI on. There's a dude Jermaine Wiggins from the Patriots who's originally
the tight end.
Yeah,
he does. He had the scrawniest forearms for a tight end. If you ever look back at his old pictures,
really.
Yeah.
But he's on WEEI now. He's on their morning show.
He's got a thick Boston accent, doesn't he?
He does, man. And it's so funny because he was talking about, I think Marcus Smart and Klay Thompson. It's like Klay Thompson. I can't get enough of it. I love hearing people from Boston talk about the Warriors. Like Draymond, I don't know. That's more for Chicago.
Draymond.
Yeah, Draymond Green.
Yeah, no, it's been funny to hear everybody talk this week from Boston. Yeah, especially Barstool loves to shit on Draymond, especially when they're going against Boston, because Portnoy is like the face of he's a face from Boston. He's the Barstool guy, obviously, so he does a little post game thing after every game. Fuck Draymond. I love Steph Curry, but fuck Draymond.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy, I don't really pay any attention to. It's kind of like Twitter live during the games. Like, there's nothing I could do about it.
Right.
Because to be honest with you, like, and this is something that I think people don't really understand. Dave Portnoy, like within sports media, he's one of the most powerful people in sports media. Like this dude can just throw money at anyone that he wants. And no matter what you think of him, no matter of his past, I personally have stopped paying attention to him because there are some things that I really don't like that Barstool did. But I've come to terms with the fact that there's nothing that I could do about it. So I've stayed away from Dave Portnoy. I've stayed away from more, not all Barstool sports content, because I really do know the history of it. And I was a fan at first until you see some stuff and you're just like, I'd rub you the wrong way. I don't really want to support this. And I don't really like the stoolies either, all the stoolies that they have. And there's way too much content that they put out there. I got respect for Big Cat, PFT Commenter, those guys from Part of My Take. And they had a baseball podcast called The Starting Nine. It's still there, but they used to have Dallas Braden on it.
Yeah.
A guy named Jared Carabas. That's no longer going with those two. They're using some other guys for that. Like there's some things that I do like via Barstool, but Dave Portnoy is not really one of them. And I just don't pay any attention to him because that dude is not going down anytime soon. Like he's got a lot of power within the sports media industry.
No.
And no matter how much you don't like him, he'll be around for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it's kind of just like the Elon Musk thing with Twitter. It's just like I just kind of just ignore it, even though I roll my eyes all the time about it. But yeah, no, he's got a vendetta against Draymond Green, and so does all of Boston. But we'll be all right, man. I think the Warriors will be fine, and we'll, like I said, we'll see what happens on Monday. But we will not see Mike Brown or Kenny Atkinson for the Warriors anymore because, as we know, Mike Brown is leaving to go be the Sacramento Kings head coach, and Kenny Atkinson is joining the Charlotte Hornets to be their head coach. So Steve Kerr's going to need 2 brand new assistants next season.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel bad for Kenny Atkinson. That dude is going to a team where those guys are living that young NBA lifestyle. I don't know if you've seen it. Miles Bridges just recently posted a video of him sipping lean with a joint in his hand in the same cup. So people are like,
hey, living his life, man. Living his life.
You got PJ Washington, who's got this whole thing, whose entire personal life is all over Black Sports Online. Robert Littall has been reporting on that heavily, and I've been keeping up.
By the way, I love Robert Littall in all the post game interviews.
Oh yeah,
just being like Robert Littall, Black Sports Online. So who you sleeping with, guys?
Yeah, he's been posting a lot of PJ Washington content. He keeps that up. And then who is it? LaMelo Ball.
Hulu ads out the ass.
Yeah, and then he's got that he's Lily now. Yeah, I'm gonna call him Lily. Ball.
Lily. That's a fact, Jack.
That's a fact. I'm gonna call him Lily. Like, I think he stole something from The Rock, by the way. I think there's copyright in that commercial where LaMelo's like, put in the work, put in the hours. That's exactly what The Rock said in the rap. Put in the rap, put in the hours. We devour.
The who was it? Royce da 5'9"? No,
it was Tech 9.
Tech 9, my bad.
Yeah, the other 9. But no, the Warriors do have to find a couple of new assistants. But, Kenny Atkins has been huge on that, by the way.
Yeah.
When it comes to zone defenses and how those all work out. Mike Brown's obviously the defensive coordinator, but Kenny Atkinson's brought a new wrinkle into the game, I think. And, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough to replace him.
I mean, it would have been nice. Luke Walton wanted to go back or wanted to join the Cleveland staff, which I find surprising, but that would have been awesome. And this is probably a long shot, but would little earthquake, something. Um,
I'm not
definitely.
feeling anything.
No, it may just be me. Would Andre Iguodala ever entertain the fact of being an assistant head coach? I would say no.
I don't think so. Not for the Warriors team right now. I think he's got plenty of other business ventures.
He wants to golf.
Yeah, he just wants to golf, and he's got businesses, and he's got Bitcoin to keep up with, and he's probably going to start doing podcasts on that. Andre, I think I think his future endeavors extend beyond coaching and basketball, but you never know. I mean, it really is when it comes to coaches and stuff. It's an addiction to these guys. Like that's what it is. Stan Van Gundy. I mean, going from the booth back to coaching, then back to the booth again. The only reason he went back to coaching is because of his addiction to basketball and to coaching. Bruce Arians, same thing. It's because of his addiction to this sport. So it depends on Andre Iguodala's addiction to the NBA.
Not to mention Stan Van Gundy's foray in the port industry.
Whoa.
He looks like Ron Jeremy.
He does a little bit. He does. Have you ever like just pictured Stan Van Gundy without the mustache? Because he looks a lot like Jeff if you picture him without the mustache. He really does. You could tell they're brothers.
No, he does. Yeah, he does.
Take the mustache off.
Yeah, he looks like a little bit like. Have you seen the Chip and Dale new movie?
No.
It's actually pretty. If you like Roger Rabbit and shit like that, it's a great, funny, goofy movie. I was gonna say that Stan Van Gundy kind of looks like the rat in in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Wow.
Monterey Jack, the guy that likes cheese. Just because of the mustache. It's not. I'm not saying anything bad about Stan Van Gundy. Great coach. He looks like Ron Jeremy and sometimes looks like Monterey Jack from Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
All right, I'm going to pull-up game is going to continue to be strong here.
He's pulling up. He's pulling it up.
Pulling it up. Oh, dude, that's mean.
No, it's not mean. He did just in the facial stuff.
Now
with the mustache, mainly with the mustache.
I didn't exactly get this from what's it called, from the movie, but I Googled it. And that's just oof. That's brutal, man. You're really saying that, huh?
I don't think that's brutal. I think it's in the mustache.
Oh gosh! All right,
he loves cheese.
I'm gonna stop sharing that.
Brutal. I love Stan Van Gundy. I think he's a great analyst, and his brother is a good analyst, or a great analyst too, on the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Jackson, though, however, is still salty with the Warriors. You see, in Game 3, he was upset with who kicked their leg out? Was it Steph?
No, it was Steph landing on Horford's leg, on Horford's ankle.
And then Mark Jackson says, "Well, they won a championship doing that a couple of years ago. Come on, really? You think Kawhi Leonard?
You're missing out on the best part."
What?
Said they missed out. They won a championship on that play a couple of years ago. With all due respect.
With all due respect, yes.
I laughed so hard after he said that. I don't care that he was salty. I laughed so hard because there's a Mark Jackson burner account on Twitter that ends every tweet with all due respect. When he said with all due respect, I immediately went to the Mark Jackson burner account. It made me laugh so hard when he said that.
Yeah, the fact that was Kawhi Leonard really gonna prevent the Warriors from winning that first championship with Kevin Durant? Come on.
Who knows?
I know. Was it going to happen?
With all due respect.
With all due respect. With all due respect, Hunter Renfrow getting paid.
There's a ticker for that.
There you go. Oh, yeah. So, Hunter Renfrow, what exactly did he get? So he gets
2 years, $32 million.
Okay, and this is days. I knew it was going to coincide with Cooper Kupp getting his deal because Cooper Kupp gets his deal. What did Cooper get? 3 years, $30 million? I have the numbers.
It was up there. It was like an 18 million average, I think.
Yeah. Hunter Renfrow, yeah, so 2 years, $32 million. And Cooper Kupp got 3 years, $30 million. Or no, more than that. Whatever he got.
Way more than that.
Yeah, no. Oh, 80 million. No, wait, did I write this wrong? Whatever it was.
I'm gonna save the podcast.
I'll pull it up. Hold on. Let me do some work too. Cooper
Your
Kupp.
pull-up game is not as strong as mine, Derek.
I know.
3
Hang
years,
on.
80 million. Yep.
That's okay. So I was right. I just can't read my own handwriting.
Yeah. There you go. That's embarrassing.
So yeah, Hunter Renfro gets a lesser deal than Cooper Cup, but that's expected just because they're similar players. But Cooper Cup is doing it. I mean, he had an all-time great, arguably one of the best receiving seasons of all time last season, and
Mhm.
Hunter Renfro is arguably the second best slot guy next to Cooper Cup. So it's good that the Raiders lock him up, but what does that mean for Darren Waller now? Because the Raiders still have some money left, and they can finagle things like the Rams do with their salary cap. But you got to believe that Darren Waller is going to be the, I guess, either highest paid tight end or the second highest paid, maybe to George Kittle, Travis Kelce. He's
Yep.
going to get a lot of money. So I'm glad that the Raiders got this out of the way.
Yeah, they needed to. And 2 years, 32 million, with the way that the wide receiver market is booming, like they didn't have to give him an extension. And when guys are going into these next seasons, when you got guys like, Justin Jefferson, who's going to want a huge extension, and certain guys like that, I know that Renfro doesn't compare, but the wide receiver market's only going to go up. Like that's just how it's going to go with all these new receivers coming in. Chase Claypool, another one of those guys. He's expected to pick things up, and I actually think Chase Claypool is going to have an awesome season because he's going into his third year, and this dude did not have a good second year, right?
No, he did not. As long as he gets to the line of scrimmage in quick fashion in a 2-minute drill.
I think he's going to want to pick things up to get a contract year. I think it's a contract year for him, so I'm going to pick him up in fantasy when people aren't going to do that. But
why are you giving it that way and tickle my butthole league already?
The tickle my butthole league. What a league. We're going to do that again?
Yeah, of course.
I don't want that.
You mean Team WAP is going to die?
Because the whole thing, it's like I'm not to, because I don't know like 90% of the people that are in this league, but if there's more bickering about whether we should put the group chat on Instagram or Facebook or keep it through texts, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I will tell Jacob we're not doing that shit again. I'm not dealing with that.
But when it comes to paying Darren Waller, I think the Raiders are going to figure out every way that they can possibly do it. I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to get paid. They declined that option. I don't think he's going to get. I don't think he's going to get a contract from him, a multi-year contract. If they are, it's going to be for cheap because no other team wants him. I think that's how it's going to go. Jonathan Abram probably not going to get that no contract either. You got plenty of guys on defense who aren't due for an extension yet, but could be in a couple of years. So I think they'll figure it out with Waller. I don't know what the answer is, but we got that report that Waller is going to be due for a contract, and they're doing things to work around that. Luckily, it's for tight ends. Tight ends don't get paid nearly as much as wide receivers.
No, they don't.
So, the 2 years, $16 million that you got for Renfro, you could be seeing that for Darren Waller just with a couple more years added onto that contract and maybe some more guaranteed at signing. So I think they can figure it out. But I'm just glad Renfro's there for the second year for sure.
No, yeah, I think it's good that they locked him up, and we'll see what happens with Josh Jacobs. I think all that stuff is contingent on what happens this season, but they did draft Zamir White, so
yep.
So we'll see what happens there.
I just said yerp.
Yeah, I thought you were coming. I was like, you're saying his name wrong, but you just said yerp. Like the bad guy from Hot Fuzz. Yerp. Yarp, that's it.
Yarp.
So yeah, a lot of people getting extensions this week, new contracts. Cooper Kupp got his, Hunter Renfro got his. Aaron Donald, I'm probably going to fuck up the numbers here, but he just tacked on 3 years to his already 6-year, $135 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
So he will be the first non-quarterback, to get $30 million a year. And it's funny how he goes from saying, yeah, I might retire, to, no, I'm good. But it's interesting that at the same time, Aaron Donald gets his new deal. He's locked up for the Rams for the time being, and they'll face the 49ers twice a year. And sure enough, was it game 2? Kyle Shanahan shows up to the Warriors game. Deebo Samuel shows up to the Warriors game. And Deebo shows up to minicamp on Tuesday. Now, the Niners are still working things out with his contract, and Kyle Shanahan even admitted that they haven't even begun to discuss anything with Nick Bosa on his deal. But you have to believe that the Rams deals, altogether, how much did that cost them? Rams paid over $205 million in their deals to Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. And that's on top of everything they pay to Matthew Stafford. They just signed Allen Robinson and Bobby Wagner in the offseason. So they find ways to manipulate the cap. And you got to believe that the 49ers, while they have the cap space now with a very cheap QB, not to say that Deebo Samuel's in the same ballpark as Cooper Kupp and Nick Bosa is in the same ballpark as Aaron Donald, but their contracts are going to be similar. So this Deebo Samuel saga, far from over. He just didn't want to be fined up the ass, and he showed up to minicamp. He didn't practice at all, though, so I doubt he will. But you got to believe that those Rams contracts are going to impact the 49ers in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I think the Deebo, or I think the Aaron Donald one is going to impact Bosa way more than the Cooper Kupp is going to impact Deebo Samuel. I wonder what Deebo Samuel's role is going to be on this team, man, because I think didn't Ian Rappaport have that report, that the Rappaport report? Didn't he have the shout out to Dibs for that one? He always says that. I love that.
That's pretty good.
Didn't he have that report that like Deebo wants to only be a wide receiver? Like,
well, a while ago, is this something new?
Well, like, but this is like definitive now. Like Rappaport said, like those were all just speculation, about him only wanting to be a wide receiver. That was all just speculation. Now it's no doubt he wants to just be a wide receiver. He doesn't want to be used as running back. He said it on Pat McAfee's show a few days ago. He said it on the 7th. So I wonder, man, like, do they think that Deebo is going to be worth that amount, even when he's just a wide receiver? He's still very good as a wide receiver, but man, he changed that team when he turned into a running back.
He did.
Granted, it was all out of necessity because the 49ers were just running out of running backs, and then they realized, oh, wait, if you put Deebo Samuel in, it opens up new things for the offense.
And they have a plethora of running backs. They obviously have Elijah Mitchell. They drafted Hyde Pierce, I want to say. Or no, I'm thinking of David Hyde Pierce from Frazier.
Who did they draft?
Yeah,
I'm forgetting right now.
Running LSU guy.
Yeah. I'm looking it up.
Okay, all right, you got it. And
Davis Price.
Davis Price. Not Frazier's brother. They also drafted Trey Sermon from a year ago. They still have Jeff Wilson Jr. on the team. Yep. So they may not need to play Deebo out of necessity for running back, but he does bring that to the team. And there's a lot of guys that can run jet sweeps now. I just think that, Deebo doesn't have to play like straight up traditional running back, but you still want to use him as a dynamic playmaker in the offense. So if he wants to get paid what he's worth, then he may want to just stop saying that, because he's more valuable as a running back and as a wide receiver, as a hybrid player. As a straight up wide receiver, he puts up good stats. He's a great player, but he's not in the upper echelon as wide receivers, in my opinion. So, that may hurt him. So I didn't know that. Ian Rappaport flat out said that that's like a definitive statement from him now.
I think what the 49ers have done is told Deebo, we are not going to use you as a running back. That could speak louder than a new contract, is what he told him. So
speak louder than a new contract. Okay, that's interesting.
I don't even know. I don't even know. But also, like, I made a ticker
contract.
I made a ticker for this too, because I saw this on the rundown, and here we go.
Yep. No, I hear you.
Who really cares about minicamp in the end?
I know. It's more so with the deal talk, but
for sure,
minicamp is like I could give a shit. This is
fascinating. It's fascinating, isn't it?
This is the time of year I'm glad I'm not NFL Network, because I hate having to cut minicamp press conferences where nothing is said.
Well, Kyle Shanahan did like kind of detract any talk about him and Deebo not getting along or something like that, and don't read what you say on social media. We'll see if that's true.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was interesting to hear him talk, and it was more so, Deebo's here and we have a good relationship. I'm not going to make him practice or anything. But yeah, I think it was more interesting that Jimmy Garoppolo was excused from mandatory minicamp, but like, what's expected? He can't throw. Yeah. And same thing with Baker Mayfield. I expect both those guys to be either released or traded at some point, but there's nothing new there. Nothing new whatsoever. No. Although, you know what? I will say this. As time goes on every day where we get another accusation of Deshaun Watson, this is getting more likely that he just may be suspended the entire season, and the Browns may need Jimmy Garoppolo out of necessity.
The Deshaun Watson thing is just awful. Like, my God, a couple more speak out, and then his lawyers say something about, like, what he did wasn't that bad, is essentially what they said, like paraphrasing it. It's like, what? It's like, it was consensual. It's just like,
but you read the details, and like girls crying after the fact. Good Lord.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
and,
well,
then,
oh,
to
sorry.
be honest, like what we were talking about the past couple of podcasts, but and Elena brought it up on the one that we did prior to the Greek Fest. But man, like the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing, it really did kind of make you think twice about, believing the victim and all
Yeah.
this stuff or whatever. And it's just like that. That shouldn't be how it is. It
Right.
really shouldn't be a situation where, you're doing victim blaming, but that's what a lot of NFL people want to do. The NFL is just in so much hot water. It's crazy looking at everything. It's like I saw the report yesterday that at Dean Spanos, there's some misogynistic behavior that went on there.
His sister's trying to take the team away from him.
It's like you got everything going on with Washington and their owner and their coaches, and then you got what's going on with the Raiders and Mark Davis. Like there's
man.
just everything that happened with the Dolphins. It's just nonstop from the NFL. And then people are going to be like, "Oh my God, that touchdown got me 6 points in fantasy. Let me watch more."
It is a love-hate relationship. I'm glad I don't work for the NFL anymore, so now I can speak openly about it, and I can gamble on games. Oh yes.
Oh
don't know if I
no,
should,
that's gonna just diminish all of your confidence as an NFL fan.
I know. You know what? I probably shouldn't actually.
You think you know something about football, then you start betting on it, and you're like,
I know.
I don't know
I wouldn't
shit.
care at all, and then a garbage time touchdown happens. I'm like, fuck, you're kidding me?
Yeah. If you're like me and you're watching a week 15 matchup between Buffalo and Denver that has no meaning to it, and Buffalo's blowing them out just because you have the over on Devin Singletary's touchdown scored. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
slowly I'll turn into Adam Sandler as in Uncut Gems. By the way, have you seen Hustle yet?
I knew you were going to ask me that. No, I have not. I have
Neither
not
have
seen
I.
that.
But I've heard
No.
that Anthony Edwards steals the show in it.
Yeah, that's no surprise. Anthony Edwards is a freaking character, man. I love that guy.
No, I can't wait to watch that. I'll get around to that some point this weekend. So in the past, Stephen, I have always defended Tony La Russa.
Ah, here we go. All right, another ticker for that one.
Oh, nice. Tony La Russa. Oh my God, what was that? So, how old
In the
is
vein
Tony?
of Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore. Tony La Russa, oh my God, what are you doing?
How old is Tony? Tony is 77. Okay.
Wow,
So,
really? He's 77 years old? Yikes.
in the past, I love Tony. Obviously the A's manager and won multiple championships with the St. Louis Cardinals. Wasn't multi? Yeah, two. Yeah, he won two. He is a legend in this game, and he came back to coach the White Sox and got to the playoffs last year. And they're below 500 right now, right? They're not doing as well right now.
Yeah, the Central's in a weird place. Let me take a look at. Actually, dude,
They lost.
I'm not gonna lie, I have
like
not
17 straight games as a division.
I haven't looked at baseball standings in a while, to be honest with you. I've been so entrenched with basketball and just keeping up with that day to day. I haven't looked at anything else around the league besides what's going on with the Giants and A's. The White Sox are 27-29 right now. Wow.
Yeah.
5 games out of first.
But there was a divisional matchup last night, I want to say. So the streak ended, but the division as a whole, I want to say, was on like a losing streak that was incredible. Like 17 straight games or something.
Jesus.
So yeah, Tony La Russa. A lot has been said about him in the last few years. Who was the hitter that was he didn't want him to swing and he hit a home run and that turned into a whole thing a year ago too.
Mercedes.
Yes. And that turned into, Tony throwing his own player under the bus and turned into a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. But also I think Tony La Russa is a legend in this game, so he, deserves some respect. But I don't know what the hell was going on this week. And I know a lot of baseball heads, some have defended Tony, a lot have criticized him. He walks Trey Turner on a 1-2 count, 2 strikes, just to avoid Trey Turner hitting a home run. And then sure enough, Max Muncy, next at bat, goes yard. And the audio is incredible of the guy, the White Sox fan in the crowd going, "Tony, what are you doing? We still had 2 strikes, Tony." Or we had 2 strikes, Tony. And then Tony in the post game is like, "Do you know what Trey Turner hits when he has 2 strikes in a count? Well, why the fuck does that matter, Tony?" And I understand it's like, it's funny that when old guys get analytical when they don't have to, you had 2 strikes. What are you doing? So
yeah.
I would love to hear some baseball heads defend this, but I haven't heard any good comebacks for it. I
He's
can't defend
batting
Tony.
238 with a 2-strike count. He doesn't have a home run on the year.
Yeah,
What the hell is he talking about?
I can't defend Tony La Russa. He was so agitated by the reporter asking him the question too. He was like, "Here's another guy questioning me." Tony, it was weird. And listen, I love Tony La Russa, and my dad will defend him to the end of the earth, right or wrong. I can't defend Tony for that one. That was just weird, very weird.
Yeah, there is. I mean, he essentially gave that reporter the same sort of response that he gave the police officer when he pulled him over for a DUI. He said, "Hey, I'm Tony La Russa. You know who I am? How dare you question me? Are you driving? Are you impaired, sir? How dare you question me? I'm Tony La Russa." Same thing. 1-2 count though, 238. I just looked at Trey Turner splits for the first time this year. Wow, how about that? That's not good. I know on an 0-2 count, that's fine. But 1-2 count, like what the hell are we doing here? Yeah, no, totally La Russa, dude. I'm kind of over it. I don't really know what the answer is with that White Sox team. That was just a terrible move, though. How else can you go about it? And it's fascinating, man, because I'm an analytics nerd, and I try and I do look at the stats and I try to take some into account, whether they actually do have an impact on the game or not, and all that sort of stuff. I love looking at stats. But Tony La Russa, just to intentionally walk a dude with the 1-2 count, there's something that there's like a line where it's, you're going with the analytics and going with your gut. I mean, he was just purely going for the analytics there. Purely. It's
when
way
he doesn't
over the
usually
line.
do that. He's not an analytics guy, right?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked at every single pitching change that he's made. I'm sure that he is now, though. I mean,
He's called out analytics before, saying like, I believe me, I know baseball.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason that his team right now is whatever it is. I had
They're
to
below 500.
27 and 29. There's a reason that they are, and I haven't watched all 57 of those games or 56, whatever it is. I haven't watched all of those, but I can guarantee you that team that they're putting out there, granted they have been hurt by injuries, I will give them that, and their lineup has underperformed this year. I do love that White Sox lineup, but pitching changes like that, I mean, they've had to have happened throughout this season through those 56 games that they've played. Just a terrible move by La Russa, but there's been questionable moves made from all managers. There's no one manager who's perfect in this game. There really isn't. Joe Madden just got fired from the Angels because he was probably too analytical and couldn't do anything with this Angels roster that started off the year hot.
Really? Too analytical?
Joe Girardi
Yeah.
just got fired because he doesn't believe in analytics. So it's just there's no in between. It's so hard. I thought Gabe Kapler was that guy, but right now he's just been super inconsistent with the changes that he makes. A lot of them don't make sense, and it's just he makes one move one day and then he'll have a reason for it. Then the next day he'll make a move that totally goes against everything that he used in his reasoning.
But he's breaking the rules, Steven.
For the move that he made before. So it's like, dude, there's no one perfect manager in this game, but that one is just, dude, that was terrible. Awful.
Yeah.
I'd be so mad if I was a White Sox fan.
Yeah. Joe Madden getting fired. God, were they on a 12-game losing streak after they started the season so hot?
Yeah, I think there was 14.
Was it 14? Well, whatever it was.
I want to say it was 14. Sheesh.
And did you see the exchange Joe Madden had with the reporter the night before he got fired, where they were like,
nah.
It wasn't. There's no video of it, but I saw the transcript. It's just like Joe Madden being asked by a reporter, "Do you think your team is playing hard?" And he's like, "What do you think?" Well, I asked you the question. No, I know your opinion. And the reporter's like, "Well, I don't think they're playing very hard right now." That's what you think, huh? And then it turned into the PR guy being like, "Move on." And then Joe Madden's like, "No, he's asking me a question. It's a legitimate question." And he goes back and like, I just love press conferences where guys answer a question with a question, just being like, "Oh, what do you think?" "Well, what do you think?" "Well, I don't know." Interesting. And then he was fired the next day. So
so Ernie has it here. 12 when he got fired and lost the next two.
But then Shohei throws a 101 fastball and then takes a yard to get them their first victory 2 nights ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got to start paying attention to Angels baseball because Tolbert's a big Angels guy.
There's why? Is he from there?
Yeah, he grew up in Southern California.
I didn't know that. Have you seen what's going on with the Marlins?
No. Oh, Don Mattingly's son
No,
got a
nothing going on.
DUI.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't know about that.
Okay.
Don't care about
Yeah.
that. Sorry,
What's
Don
going on with the
Mattingly's
Marlins?
son. Hope you bounce back. You will. I hope you
Making
will.
it look bad for all the sons out there. Don Mattingly, Jesus,
Just because
Junior.
you have a DUI doesn't make you a bad person. So go on, bounce back. And you'll get back in life, Don Mattingly.
I know.
No, it's what's happened with Jazz Chisholm, who
all the players hate him.
Yeah, so they had a 90-minute team meeting, and that was reported on the 7th. And then 3 days later, John Heyman has a report for New York Post, basically saying that meeting, a large chunk of it was the details coming out of it was that Don Mattingly had every player go up one by one and explain their issue with the team. And then John Heyman comes out with a report 3 days later. Is basically all those issues were about Jazz Chisholm. their
so
star,
basically what you're saying, Steven, is a big chunk of that was about Chisholm?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Sorry, his name is just too close to Chisholm.
You're just
I'm so childish. I know.
Yeah, I know. You are literally the oldest 30-year-old I've ever met in my life. And somehow you are the youngest 30-year-old I've ever met in my life. At the same time, it's fascinating.
I hate social media and I laugh at poop jokes. What you know?
Wow, you're really
I'm childish. I know.
Yeah, you're really you're really counteracting the triple beam balance that is your life.
By the way, I have that back here too.
With a triple beam balance.
Yeah.
What do you sell cocaine?
Not yet.
But no, they all hate Jazz Chisholm. Apparently.
I thought you meant like a triple beam bounce, like in the Olympics. Never mind. Go ahead.
Or is that what it's called? A triple beam balance? Is that? Hang on, real quick.
A balance.
Triple beam balance scale, right? Is that what it's called?
Scale. Yeah.
Triple beam balance scale. Yeah. All right, I'm good with that. All right, for sure.
I was thinking of the Olympics, the triple beam balance.
But the Jazz Chisholm thing, it's just I don't know. It's fascinating to me. All these guys hate him just because has fun playing the game. There must be other stuff going on within the locker room.
Probably. Well, Gabe Kapler was throwing. Did you see this quote that he got with Andrew Baggerly?
Nah.
He's calling out guys for not being in shape. He said didn't know, and that when Gabe Kapler was telling you you're not in shape, like it's it's a hard thing to do because that guy's built from marble. But he called out a few guys for not being in shape. So something to look out for there.
I mean, come on, there's so much to live up to. Have you seen Kapler, the dude?
No, I know. But this is coming after, Kapler also, I guess, Webb and a few guys are upset about being yanked too early in games. So teams kind of pushing back on Kapler a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, Logan Webb was taken out with the lead, and it was like in the 4th inning or whatever it was. It was terrible. It was an awful move. But but him telling him to stay in shape, like, what does he want him to do? What does he want his team to eat ice cream by, eating it through the spoon and then spitting it out? Because that's what Gabe Kapler does, apparently. Like,
he does?
Yeah, he said that he
just waste the calories, just waste the food?
Wastes all of it. He just eats this ice cream, but then doesn't eat it and spits it out. He just likes the flavor of it without putting it into his body.
Like a piece of gum? That's wasteful.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe the team should start calling him out for the managerial decisions that he's made this year because they have not made much sense.
Ooh, you're turning on the NL Manager of the Year, huh?
Not really turning on him, but if you're going to call out your team for not staying in shape, how about you make better decisions? Now, granted,
we'll see, man.
Jock Peterson doesn't look like, the poster child for being in shape as a baseball
That's the guy
player.
I think he's calling out. That's
probably. I mean, but he hits dingers, so who cares?
Exactly. But hey, they won last night. Giants beat the Dodgers in game 1 of the series. Things were a little rough for the Dodgers. Darren Ruff, that is. 2 homers. Oh, I know. But they get the win. So that's always good when the Giants beat the Dodgers, right, Steven?
Yeah, I didn't watch the game. I caught the highlights this morning though. And Darren Ruff going crazy. Walker Buehler getting hurt in the 4th inning. That was big.
What's the deal with these? Is that the first time the Dodgers have worn their all blue unis, the blue pants too?
No, they've worn those before.
That looks terrible.
Yeah, they're awful. Terrible. There's you can think of all bad bad adjectives that you could think of. Yeah, you could describe the Dodgers jerseys in that way. Nah, man, it was fun. That whole Dodgers and Giants thing. The rivalry is great, just because of the history of it and all of that. But when the teams are just like that much, when one of the teams is that much better than the other, it's just not that much fun. And
You
excuse
think the
me.
Dodgers are that much better than the Giants?
Yeah, man. Of course they are. Like the Giants, I think, are right where Vegas said they were going to be prior to the season. I think that line of 85.5 games for the win total, that's perfect. I think it's going to be either right under or right over that, or it might be actually, yeah, right under. It could be 84, could be 85, could be 86. But I don't see them being like a 92 win team this year. It's going to be hard to get into the playoffs, even with playoff expansion and getting 6 teams in there as opposed to the normal 5 from each league. But the Giants defense hasn't been there. The consistency with starting pitching hasn't been there. You might get some production from the bats, but there's also, been that trouble with Joey Bart, which sucks, by the way, him getting optioned down to AAA.
Yeah, but needed to be done though.
I really wanted him to be good, man. And I was backing him up.
You and
any
everybody
chance that
else.
I could. Yeah, I was backing him up any chance I could. But after a while, it's just like, dude, you're batting 100 with like 80 strikeouts to 2 walks. We got to take you out at some point.
But Austin Wins
So-
looked good.
Hmm?
That first game was his name Austin Wins. Like I think a guy to replace him.
Is that his name? I haven't even seen the guy.
Yeah, I haven't
replay
even
him.
seen.
Yeah. There's
I'm
been
picking
so
up
many
so much Giant stuff now. Working at KMBR. God, what has it become to me?
Yeah, look at you. This is great.
know.
You know way more about the Giants than I do. This is fantastic.
I hate it. Speaking of which, to talk about my team, the A's. Good Lord.
What is there to talk about with this team?
Well, I went to the game Memorial Day. Last podcast we did, I was trying to get out the door to go to the game against the Astros Memorial Day, and it was hot as shit that day. Me and Greg went to the Coliseum,
Actually,
sat behind home plate,
Hang on, it'd be good to do that. There we go. Got the ticker going.
and we all know the Coliseum's not great. But even in the 3 years that I've been gone, it's gotten worse. And there's shit all over the ground. Like the bottoms of the seats are all ripped up. And it's terrible considering the Raiders were fighting to stay in Oakland. Didn't get it. I don't know if they were trying to stay in Oakland. It seemed like Mark wanted to go to Vegas. But they were fighting with the A's to get that ballpark. And the A's won it in the end. And they don't care to do anything with it. It's just so bad. And yeah, I mean, we all have accepted the inevitable. They're going to go to Vegas one of these days. But it was just hard to see. And was
Sounds
even
like you're
worse.
getting choked up over it.
I mean, it just sucks, man. Like, I came back to the Bay Area and I'm accepting the inevitable that there will be no Oakland sports eventually. But it was just tough to see. What was really hard to listen to was the woman playing the saw for that national anthem with the woo like a ghost. Like it was. Do you have that? I want to know if we can play that real quick.
That was the most impressive feat of musicianship that I've ever seen.
Oh my God, Steven.
She is playing music on a saw, on a garden tool. How dare you say anything bad about the saw lady? Jerk.
It was impressive, but like that's what we're doing now. That's what we're pulling out.
Come
Saw
on, man.
music.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah.
dude. Do you have it?
No, let me pull it up real quick. I'm about to get it. All right. My pull-up game very
Just a
strong.
woo.
Oh man! All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, and we're gonna put it back. We're gonna start it, and we got the volume. Okay.
Carolyn is a 2-time international musical saw champion who performs throughout the U.S. She has played with the San Francisco Symphony and the Colorado Symphony and has been featured on the game show I've Got a Secret with her musical saw. All right, Carolyn, take it away.
This is like if Tim Burton did like a patriotic movie. This is how it would open.
All right, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. Hang on, I got to stop this. Oh my goodness.
It's still playing.
What was it? Hang on. She was like featured on the Carolina Symphony and the San Francisco Symphony, and featured in I've Got a Secret. Also featured in David Letterman's 10 Stupid Human Things That You Can Do, or whatever. Stupid Human Tricks with David Letterman.
I gotta start watching that David Letterman the show on Netflix. He's interviewing a shit ton of people. That looks interesting.
Yeah, he's got that show. My next guest is. He's been doing that
Yeah.
for a while. I want to watch the KD one, but
Yeah, I still need to watch that.
more importantly, with Letterman, he's posted. He's got a YouTube channel now, and he's got.
Oh, good for him.
He's posted all of his like old YouTube clips, or at least his team does. They post all of his old clips from old stuff that they do. There were a couple of days where I was just going down the rabbit hole there, but they continue to add new videos every day. It's fantastic. So I've been keeping up with that, and that's why I know the 10 stupid human tricks that people do. Like that's what it would be featured on, man. Stupid human
Definitely.
tricks.
Definitely. Speaking of stupid humans, we haven't done this in a while, but let's do Jackass of the Week.
Jack of the week.
Yeah, there we go. So, and it's funny, the guy's name is Jack. So a while ago when we did that episode, we talked about John Gruden and his emails. One of the first people to speak out against John Gruden was Jack Del Rio, making fun of him for his homophobic tweets or homophobic emails. And no one's defending John Gruden, but I remember at the time saying, "Don't throw stones at glass house at Jack Del Rio because we all know what you're about." And now we see it firsthand. I've always been told that Jack Del Rio thinks a certain way, and it's his, God-given American right to believe whatever he wants to believe. It's just his opinion, man. But why are you holding press conferences? I mean, not holding press conferences, but he's talking about this shit at Commander minicamp, talking about what he considers the insurrection, not Mark Jones' insurrection, the actual insurrection as a dust-up. And there's no, you can't criticize that and then defend the riots of George Floyd. And yeah, Jack Del Rio, that's the way he rolls. And he said all that shit and was asked, how does he think his black player is going to take this? And he was like, I really don't care. And a lot of people have been outspoken now against him. Ron Rivera even fined him. Was it $100,000 for opening his mouth?
Correct.
So, yeah, Jack Del Rio, you could say what you want about John Gruden, but I think, you're right there with him, buddy. Like, this is, I don't know.
Does he have, I think his Twitter's deleted now because it came from his Twitter.
But didn't he brought it up during the minicamp too?
Well, they asked him about the tweet.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of him responding to an article talking about the January 6th hearings, which are ongoing as of now. And I'm keeping up with that, actually. This is a piece of history that I think that everybody should keep up with. This is just, everything that's going on. I can't believe we're even going through this. But for him to refer to as a dust-up, yes, he is the jackass, but the even bigger jackasses to me of the week are the ones who are responding to the fine report when they say he's been fined for $100,000 and they're asking what he did wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he just spoke his mind. No, it's not just that. He referred to one of the biggest, greatest atrocities in American history, if not the biggest. Not the biggest. There's been a lot of atrocities in America, let's be honest, and a lot going on lately. But referring to that as a dust-up and then referring to the protests from George Floyd as just the summer of looting and rioting instead of, I don't know, the summer of Black Lives Matter, which it should have been. It's just referring to it as that. Like, dude, all of this just really gets to me. And I'm all for free speech or whatever, but it's just understand what you're talking about. January 6th was not a dust-up. So you could shut his mouth with that one. And then 2020 was not just the summer of looting and rioting. It was a summer where we as a people needed to learn a thing or two about what is going on with Black people in this country. And it's just, you didn't learn anything from that. And you consider January 6th a dust-up. Like, those comments really got to me, man. Like, they really bothered me. And just people saying, well, he just spoke his mind. It's like, being in his position and having that sort of platform, it's not just speaking his mind. Like, I don't know, man. I really go back and forth. It's like everyone has a right to an opinion or whatever, but I don't like it when people have an opinion based on
stupidity.
Based on just based on false, like, I guess you could say accusations is a word that you'd use. It's just this whole Jack Del Rio thing, and knowing that he was a coach for the Raiders. And, I didn't know this stuff about him. I think that's also what adds to it too, is because I was a fan of Jack Del Rio and, everything that he did on the field. It seemed like he was a player's kind of coach, and just hearing all that sort of stuff and still like not understanding that just how wrong it was. It really gets to you. It really
Yeah.
does.
I think that summer, I remember Drew Brees saying the thing he did about the national anthem and how he thinks everybody should stand for it. And at that time, I thought it should have been a lot of white athletes, white coaches opening their eyes a little bit and being empathetic to their black teammates, to their black, assistant coaches, whoever it is. And yeah, Jack Del Rio, I don't know how, like, a lot of guys on defense for the Commanders, as well as, a lot of players in the National Football League are black. So I can't imagine that that's a guy that, Jack Del Rio, how are players going to bend over backwards for that guy? Same thing with John Gruden. Once you find out about those emails, how are you really going to, try your damnedest to play for that guy? It's just difficult. And I'm glad Ron Rivera did something about it and fined him. I don't know if you could fire him over that. It gets into a whole thing there.
You can't fire him over the comments, but you can certainly fire him if players do not feel like they want to play for this guy.
Yeah.
You can certainly do that. You can't just say, oh, yeah, he spoke his mind, we need to fire him for it. But if your players come to you and say, hey, get rid of this dude, like we don't want him around anymore, then you'd probably have to, acquiesce to the request. Shout out to Pirates of the Caribbean. But he was the defensive coordinator last year, right?
Yeah, no, he's been there. I mean, I'm surprised people forget about some shit he says. Like, I remember he's always had an active Twitter account, and he tweeted something about, he's always been a Trump guy.
Mhm.
He's always like calling out people for not supporting the president. Funny enough, he doesn't support the president now. But yeah, when I saw his comments, I was disgusted, but also I laughed just because when John Gruden was fired from the Raiders, or stepped down, he was the first person to laugh about that and say, "God, how intolerant is he?" And
Yeah.
it just made me laugh, just because Jack Del Rio has always been that guy, always been that guy.
Yep, 100%. And I wish I went back to the days where all I knew about him was that he liked Val's Burgers over in Hayward. Like, that's all I knew about him. It's really all I knew. His favorite his favorite place to eat in the Bay Area, Val's Burgers in Hayward. That's all I knew. And I really wish I was back to that time. You ever been to Val's Burgers, by the way?
Haven't not, but I should check it out.
Fantastic. It really is good. I mean, even everybody eats and everyone has their own specific taste. I'm not going to disagree with that. He says Val's Burgers is good, and I've been there. Oh, it's fantastic. Little hole, not a hole in the wall place, but one of those old time diners where it's just, like In-N-Out's like a fast food version of it. But Val's is like a legit burger place over in Hayward. Recommend you go there. Now that you're back in the Bay Area, recommend anybody go there. Val's in Hayward. Fantastic.
Sponsored by us. Our sponsor for the podcast.
If we were Rick Tittle, we'd be like, this podcast is sponsored by cheeseburgers. Have you had a cheeseburger lately?
Shout out to Rick Tittle. Yeah, so Steven, it's good we did a podcast again. Anything else you've been up to the last week and a half?
Well,
Any
I mean, I
shows,
got a little
movies
here. Yeah, a little pop
A little
culture
pop culture catch up. Ooh,
How about that?
you came
to be
prepared today.
I've been entrenched in Stranger Things. Like, that's it. Stranger Things. That's all my life has been for the past couple of weeks. Being back or being off with COVID, definitely watched a lot of movies. Like, watched a lot of childhood ones. I think Miracle was one that I watched. Haven't watched that in a long time.
Blank Check.
Blank Check was not on the list.
I'm just guessing shit that you would watch.
Matilda was there. We watched Matilda together.
Ooh.
Started
Danny
watching the
DeVito?
flight. Yes. Rita Perlman too. Started watching The Flight Attendant. Still didn't finish it, but awesome show. The music. Is
Did you
great.
finish it?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
I'll wait till you finish it.
The music is awesome.
Music's great.
I can't remember everything that we watched though. We watched a lot when we were out for the
Oh,
week.
Ernie says you watched Top Gun.
See, Ernie knows more about me than I do.
Yeah, Ernie, how do you know that?
Because I mentioned it
on the
yesterday.
show.
You know what? This could go. You know what, Ernie? thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to do my little rant that I did on the pregame show yesterday because saw Top Gun Maverick. And we saw that on Thursday, you know,
I still need to go see it.
coming off that loss. I think the Giants had a day game, so we already watched that day game against the Rockies, and you know, didn't have anything to go for at night. And shout out to Ernie, who actually gave me the idea. He actually DM'd me and said he's going to go watch a movie or something. I'm like, you know, that's a good idea. I should go watch a movie too. So went to go see Top Gun, and it was awesome. Highly recommend it. Like, I can't recommend it enough. If you're a fan of Top Gun, you like the first one. The second one is just chef's kiss.
Okay.
But
I've
Tom
heard.
Cruise does this thing before the movie where he sits in like a director's chair, and he's Tom Cruise, and he thanks everybody in the theater for coming out. This film took decades to make. We made it with real F-18s, and how proud he is of this project. And, you know, thanks everybody for coming out. Then the screen goes dark, and some lady in the front row goes, "We love you, Tom." Like, shut up. No one needs to hear you. You know what? Tom Cruise, like, I'm sorry, but Tom Cruise does not care about you. No matter him just thanking you incessantly for coming out to see the movie. One, you've made him a lot of money. And two, he doesn't know who you are, and he can't hear you. He can't hear you through the screen. So there's no point in saying, "I love you, Tom." And by the way, nobody left. Nobody had any sort of reaction to it other than probably the same reaction that I'm having right now, internally telling her to shut up, because nobody cares about what you have to say about Tom Cruise. Very frustrated by that.
I will disagree with you, sir. He does care because that man will die for his movies. He does all his own stunts.
He really
Mission
does.
Impossible, Top Gun. You can say what you want about him being batshit crazy. That man will die for any movie he does. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. That, and Top Gun is just that. It's so realistic. And him riding on the motorcycle, it's even that. It's like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
You're going like 1,000 miles an hour on a motorcycle. You could
He's gonna
die
be
doing that.
60. He's 60 and he's doing this shit.
Yeah. And then he also oh man, he was a part of the Queen's Jubilee celebration. It was so funny. It's like when we bring in Tom Cruise, and it's like, what?
Speaking of going to the movies, did you see it at AMC?
Yes.
Okay. So was the Nicole Kidman thing before or after Tom Cruise spoke?
Oh,
Because
was
that thing,
before.
okay,
that was
that
before.
that thing is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman does like a whole. If you go to an AMC movie theater lately, there's a whole. It's like a push thing to like celebrate movies, going back in movie theaters because we've all been in our house with COVID. But that thing has gotten so ridiculous. Where in LA, I would go to the movie theater and people recite that thing along while it's going on. People know it verbatim.
Jesus.
The whole Nicole Kidman thing, where she's like, heartbreak feels better in a place like this. It's just so fucking ridiculous. And yeah, people know that thing verbatim now and quote it along while it's playing before an AMC movie. And it's just insane to me.
I didn't even I didn't even listen to the dialogue. I was just thinking in my head the whole time, there's no chance that she'd go to an actual movie theater to watch a movie. Like, when's the last time you'd been to an AMC, Nicole Kidman? Give me a break.
Yeah, I know. It's funny to me when celebrities are like, "Oh, I love going to a theater." You don't love going to a theater. You love being in movies, and then you love watching the movie back on a DVD that the director gave you.
You love going to a theater
Screeners.
in your house where
Yeah.
they give you a clip of it, where they give you the whatever it is. I don't know how they do it now. It probably used to be
Dailies,
disc,
yeah.
and now it's all done digitally. But it's like, you go to your own movie theater. You ain't never been to no AMC, Nicole Kidman. Who are you? She should have been clapping at the end like this, like she did at the Oscars, not wanting to get her jewelry messed up with her long ass fingers.
Oh, just like a fake golf clap, just like using
Yeah,
the
you'd
palms of
seen
your
that,
hands.
right? You'd seen that. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't actually. She didn't want to mess up her jewelry.
It was from the Oscars, and it's this really creepy clap that she does where she doesn't want to, she's just clapping her palms and not letting her fingers touch each other. There's the other thing too, and this was in the movie theater, and this has happened the past couple of times we've been to the movies. There's someone who yells at the start of the hallway. They like yell at their friends and tell them what they're going to do. like to their friends that are in the hallway, leading up to the door that
Yeah.
exits the theater.
Yeah.
Like they're yelling about what they're doing. Hey man, I'm going to the bathroom. Going to the bathroom. Can you get popcorn? Make sure you get popcorn. Yeah. We got the large, so we got a free refill because we got the large. So please get another one. Yeah, butter. Make sure you get extra butter. We love butter.
Get off the shed.
It's like we don't need to hear your whole life. We don't need to hear what you're doing. Wait till you get out the door and then yell to your friend about what to do. And also, why are you so separated? Like, get closer and then talk. This is a movie theater, damn it. Anyway.
And this is happening during the coming attractions, right? This isn't happening during the movie.
This is happening what? Oh, yeah. No, none of that happened during the movie. All good during the movie. No issues
Okay,
at
good.
all. Yeah.
No, I've been that guy when I was young that talked during movies. No, can't stand that shit.
No, of course you were. What have you been watching, though? What have you been catching up on, Derek?
I have. So my dad at his place in the shed has Paramount Plus, and I have been debating whether or not I wanted to start the show or not. So I just did it. I love The Godfather. I started watching The Offer, which is the show about the making of The Godfather with Miles Teller. And while it is extremely cheesy, I'm addicted to it because it's fascinating. Like I'm sure all the stories, the same thing with Winning Time, I'm sure all the stories are over the top and exaggerated, but just like everything that went into making The Godfather with having the mafia involved, I'm a sucker for. So I recommend it, but I can also see that it's just extremely cheesy too. And it's also, I got Paramount Plus at my new place just to finish it, and as soon as it's done, I'm getting rid of it because there's nothing else I need on Paramount Plus.
SpongeBob, Rocket Power, Blue Bloods.
No, well, actually, you're sucking me back in. I do. I mean, yeah, and then they have all the streaming. All the South Park movies are on Paramount Plus too, so maybe I will keep it. Actually, shit.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. There's plenty you could stream there. I don't have my own account. I use a family members as one does.
I should do that more often. I've been stupidly paying for all of my own streaming sites.
So
even though I don't even use half of them, and
you haven't watched. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm debating whether or not I should keep Netflix, but there's a part of me that wants to watch Stranger Things, and a part of me that wants to watch. I mean, I definitely want to check out the Adam Sandler movie, the Hustle movie. So
you got to keep Netflix. It's an issue, real issue.
I know.
But you're gonna watch Stranger Things though.
I've watched every season, and the last one I was kind of about. It's a fun show. It's very well done. As long as who's the cop guy? That guy makes me laugh. I love him.
Hopper.
Yep. But what's his name in real life?
This fourth season, he ain't gonna make you laugh. I'll tell you that much.
Fuck, really?
Oh my god, it's crazy. It's very this fourth season, man. It's
what's that guy's name?
Oh,
the actor that plays him.
I can't remember. Just really, get yourself prepared for it. Get yourself prepared for the fourth season. It's pretty creepy.
David Harbour.
David Harbour, that's right. It's a little creepy, First episode, you're like, oh my god. I got friends texting me saying it's pretty demonic. I got friends texting me like saying I didn't want to continue because it was way more intense than I thought it was going to be. And the first season or the first episode is, but it really gets good going into it. And you are gonna have one song stuck in your head. You remember the Cranberry Juice guy on the longboard as he's longboarding down the freeway, and the song yes. Dreams became popular again.
Yeah, from Fleetwood Mac. Yeah,
we're getting a new version of that. Kate Bush, the song called "Running Up That Hill." That song's gonna get in your head.
It sounds familiar, actually.
I make a deal with God, and I'm running up that hill, and we're running up that hill, and we're running up that hill. Yeah,
they play that a lot in the show.
Oh yeah, it's a thematic song throughout the movie and throughout the show. And actually, the fourth episode is it might be like Jesse, because we were binging it, and Jesse like stopped before the fifth episode started, and she's like, "Can we just like take a moment? I can't." She's like, "I can't watch this next episode because that was so good," Yeah. And I'm like, "Damn, it really was." Like that fourth episode. It hits, dude.
All right. I'll check it out. And I do love David Harbour. That's the actor's name. He needs to be in a comedy because he's an extremely goofy guy.
Yes.
If you ever
Yeah,
seen him like the Tide ads back in the day for Super Bowls, he's a hilarious guy.
He's a weird dude. He did
Yeah.
a Hot Ones interview, and I was like, wow, this guy's like really really jovial. Like just
Oh
super
no, he's
happy.
funny. He's funny.
I
check it
rewatched
out.
the first season though. I rewatched the first one just to kind of, for shits and gigs. And I'm like, damn, like when David Harbour, when the first scene you see him, he's going out to the lake at the edge of his patio or whatever, and he's smoking a cigarette. He's got his pants unbuttoned and, got a little bit of a beer gut going. And then you go to season 4 and you see what happens to him and everything that he goes through. Oh, that's a spoiler alert, I guess, but whatever.
Well, he was captured at the end of the 3rd season, wasn't he?
I mean, there's speculation about whether he,
Okay, all right. I'll watch.
died
I'll
or
watch,
not.
I'll watch,
But
I'll watch,
there
I'll
was
watch.
obviously the tease that he's probably alive. Like
Got it.
everyone kind of assumed it. So I guess I just ruined that for you.
something Russian related.
I guess I just ruined that for you. But
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
but the 4th season, he, whew, yikes,
Yeah.
gets crazy.
Okay, I'll check it out. I've also been watching the new season of Barry.
Oh, I need to
have
catch
you-
that up too. Yeah.
It's the darkest it's ever been, while simultaneously also being the goofiest it's ever been. There's one episode that just came out recently. They did a whole shot, like one single shot of him on a motorcycle driving around LA while people are shooting at him.
Uh-huh.
It's been more impressive with, like, Barry so much is not involved in the show as much. Bill Hader's character, but Bill Hader, as far as the directing each episode, visually stunning.
Hell yeah.
So I highly recommend it.
All
All right, Steven, we haven't done a podcast in a while, so we've done a good 2-hour one. We don't know when we'll do a next one. It's been really tough with our schedules, but I don't know when the Warriors play again next Monday. So it goes Monday,
yeah.
Thursday, and then possibly a game 7 on Father's Day. Sunday?
Let me just double check here and make sure that we are all squared away. Next one is Monday. Then after
Thursday.
Monday, it is on Thursday. You are correct. And then we are heading for a possible game 7 on Father's Day.
Okay,
Oh,
so
God.
maybe we come back with you next Saturday, and we'll see where we are with the series. But yeah, glad we're back, and yeah, shout out to Ernie and everybody that usually watches this thing.
Mhm.
We'll try to keep it going. But it's been tough with our schedules, but just your opinion, man. We'll stick around. Steven, good to see you again, my friend.
Yes.
My Juliet to my Romeo of Bay Area radio.
Why do I have to be the Juliet?
Because you're the better looking one. Say what you always say, my friend.
That's just our opinion. Whatever, man.